Summon Sign is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 32 of Summon Sign, Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth gaming, blah, 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 blah. Let's restart that.
Oh, coward.
We'll clear.
Coward.
No, we can, you know what? Let's just let it run, all right? We'll do it again.
But
Episode 32 of Summon Sign, Last Stand Media's weekly in-depth gaming discussion podcast. I can't talk right now, it's too early. I'm your host, as always, Brett Ellis, and joining me this week are Locke Mort and Ben Smith. Whoever's who's editing this again? Ben, you're editing it? Just keep all that shit in. It's fine.
All right.
All this in. It's totally fine. But Ben, let's start with you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be here, as always. A little disappointed Locke's here. But that's okay.
Damn.
No, it's funny. It's funny because Locke and I used to talk very frequently. And just because of our everything, like schedules, whatever, we just haven't talked as much lately, but we see each other on shows more frequently now than we used to, which is a different dynamic.
Yeah.
A little more fun one. I'm meaner to Locke and vice versa.
Yeah, well, I wonder why we don't talk anymore, Ben. It's a mystery to
me. Yes. And of course, our European correspondent, Locke Mort. How you doing?
Correspondent. I'm great. I'm happy to see you both. I'm not happy with the fucking sun shining on my bald head, but it'll go away at some point.
Yeah, wow. It's not as bad as it was when we started. Actually, the sun is shrinking off your forehead.
Good. Then I'm in the dark. That's good. Where it belongs.
It's going good. All right. Before we end the show with everything, check us out on patreon.com/laststandmedia. If you'd like to support us, you can get all of our shows early over there. $5 and up gets you early access to this show, sacred symbols, defining dude, punching up, constellation, all that good stuff. So please support us over there. Leave us a nice rating on your podcast service of choice, please. That'd be very nice of you. Laststandmedia.store for all of our merch. If you want to check out the merch we got going on over there, please do. And our live show is coming up about a month away from right when we're recording this. Yeah. If you want to see Sacred versus the Dukes, the Sacred Boys versus the Dukes, you can get tickets at bit.ly/Sacred Dukes. Is that correct, Ben?
That's correct. And it's not just Sacred and Dukes. You'll be there too, Brad.
That's true. I will be there. And Jaffe will be there. Hogue Law will be there. It's going to be a good time.
Nice. Lockmore's flying over.
Lockmore's flying over.
Every live show, I'm there. Yep, this one too.
He's there in spirit, at least. Yep. We got him there. Maybe a little. Yeah, actually, nothing else. It's just going to be that. But it's going to be a good time. I'm really stoked for it. I'm especially stoked because I can just drive there. It's not far from me.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah. I'm stoked. And San Diego's very nice. Very, very nice. Boys, this week, I thought we'd just, I'm kind of curious about you two especially, because I don't really know what you guys would pick for some stuff. Some people on our company, I can kind of guess what games they would put as their GOTYs. But with you two, I'm not exactly sure that all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the last 10 years of gaming and give our game of the year for each year. Fun. So I am curious to see what you guys pick. Who should we start with? Let's start with Locke. He's looking a little smug.
Smug. Well, it's so much fun to do shows with you two, and I never get insulted here.
It's out of love.
So okay, well that's cool then.
Locke, you have brother. You have a brother. You know how it goes. Teasing. You got two brothers. Teasing. Are you the oldest or the youngest?
No, I'm by far the youngest. They're like a decade older than me.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, they're super old.
They're super old.
But they have families and people who love them, so that's cool.
You know what?
Maybe one
that
day.
Is nice. Families are nice. You know what? We're gonna do the year for each of us. So we'll start with Locke, then we'll go to Ben, then me, then we'll go to the next year. We'll keep it like that. So Locke, what was your game of the year for 2014? A year that people say there was no good games, and I think they're crazy people.
There were a couple of good games. One of them is later on in this show, even which won Game of the Year that year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my GOTY for that year. That was Shadow of Mordor. Which I really, really enjoyed that year, especially the Nemesis system, which was so new back then. Well, it still is new right now because only 2 games have ever used it. But yeah, I love Lord of the Rings and I love Assassin's Creed, and that was like the perfect blend between the two. The story was kind of interesting too. I really loved that game. I thought it was great. Yeah,
that game was sweet when it came out, dude. I'm the same boat as you, Locke. Love all Lord of the Rings stuff. So we got a sequel, but I don't think we'll get another one. Sadly, I think that's it.
Yeah,
very sad.
That Nemesis system will go to waste.
I know. Well, it's supposed to be that
under.
It's supposed to be the Wonder Woman game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it going to be in there? Okay.
Because it's that dev team, but where is that game? They announced that game, I feel like, so long ago. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's WB. I don't know what's going on. Whatever.
Yeah.
Ben, 2014.
So I had a kid in 2013, a kid in 2015, was doing a master's, starting a business, or had a business. So 2014 was a low year for me. I want to be honest. And there weren't a lot of amazing games. But I got to say Mario Kart 8 for that year was my personal GOTY. It fit my schedule. It's Mario Kart. You can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
I'd say Shovel Knight's like a special little shout out there. But Mario Kart 8, I probably played the most of it, enjoyed it the most. But in fairness, like I wasn't that year and the next year, I wasn't super tuned into games just because of all the stuff in my life.
Sure, yeah. You have responsibilities. Many of them.
Yeah, I guess.
My game is also a Nintendo game. Not Mario Kart, though. It's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Oh, yeah, man.
One of the best platformers of all time, 2D platformers specifically. Incredible game. Love the Kongs. They added Cranky Kong as a playable character, so I was pumped. Still an incredible game. We need more Donkey Kong games. Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right, Lockmore, 2015. I can guess probably what your game is for here. Yes.
It's a very easy one, The Witcher 3. Like, I don't have to think twice. Still one of my favorite games, or everyone's favorite game of all time, I think, or close for many people.
Yeah, everyone loves it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I already loved The Witcher 1 and 2. I played The Witcher 1 when it came out, but only PC people knew it because it was a PC exclusive, of course. And ever since then, I was hooked. So when The Witcher 3 came around, I was pumped as hell. I remember taking like a month off of work just to play. I spent my whole summer break in May just to play The Witcher 3, which they were not happy about, but I was because the game is amazing.
Did you buy it? Did you buy it on 2 platforms? Were you doing that as well at the time?
Well, back then I didn't because it was 30 FPS on PS4 or PS3.
Yeah, no,
true. PS4 back then, and I don't do 30 FPS. So no, I only bought it first on PC and only on PC. But as soon as the patch came out last year, I think I also bought it on PS5.
Nice, cool. Benjamin, what about you?
I think for me, it was Fallout 4.
Ooh, okay.
And I know over the years, people have had revisionist takes. Listen, I remember I was there. Everybody liked that game when it came out.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean,
Fallout 4, everybody liked it.
I was there. I didn't finish it.
Really?
Whatever, Brad.
Nope.
I don't remember that take from you. I've been listening to you for 10 years. I don't remember it.
That was when I was at Game Trailers, right when I was very new.
Yeah. But yeah, Fallout 4. I think it's probably by default. Like, I think I played Fallout 4 and Battlefront that year. That was right before I got back into gaming. Pretty hardcore. So those, in fairness, that was like one of the only couple games I played. But Fallout 4 was, I really enjoyed it. And I know, I know a lot of people did. I don't know if it favors as well in my memory as it did at the time. But at the time, it was my thing.
Yeah, sure. I think even at the time, and I thought it was a solid game. It just wasn't grabbing me at the time.
No.
But, that's because 2015 was the year that The Witcher came out, obviously. In my opinion, The Witcher kind of blew that game out of the water as an RPG. Yeah. But my game of the year that year was Bloodborne.
Oh,
yeah, incredible. Yeah. From Software game, one of their best, still in my opinion. Excellent video game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have not gotten a different version of the game. It still runs like dog shit on PS4. So come on, Sony, get that shit going. Let's go. But The Witcher would be my second, definitely. At game trailers, Locke, I remember heated arguments for GOTY between Bloodborne and The Witcher. It was close. It was really close. But Bloodborne won in the end, but it was very close.
No, I get that. That's fair. Bloodborne would be my number 2. Or no, Fallout 4 would actually be my number 2. Bloodborne would be my number
top
3.
I guess. Yeah. That's good, yeah. All right. 2016. This is an interesting year. I had trouble this year deciding.
Yeah.
What
it's
about
another
you?
easy. It's another easy one for me. Overwatch.
Great one. Great pick.
I've been playing it every day since then, so I had to pick it. I was looking at the list and there were other great games, but then I figured, well, this is the game I'm still playing 8 years later. I'm still playing it every single day, so I have to pick Overwatch. I had no other choice. It also won Game of the Year that year, I think.
It did, yeah.
Incredible. It was incredible when it came out, Locke. So makes total sense to me. Ben, what about you?
Doom.
Ooh, Doom 2016. Nice. Great Doom 2016. Reboot. Loved it.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of the early games, the early PC games. And when Doom 2016 came out, it just kind of was like, oh, I know Doom. I'll play that. And then it just blew me away. And I've played it, I don't know, 4 times since then, probably over the years. And it's just it's the perfect package of gory FPS.
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic game.
Great game.
2016. Okay. I can't choose here. So we'll make a choice right here. I'll tell you what my 2 are, though. Overwatch is a really good one. I should have added that also, though. But it's Dishonored 2 or Dark Souls 3. Ooh. I love both of these games very much, and I can't pick between them. I'll give it to Dishonored 2 just because From Software returns again on this list.
Yeah.
But Dishonored 2 is an incredible game.
Yeah.
I know it has a hardcore fan base, but I really feel like this game didn't do as well as it should have. I don't think it sold very well, which is very sad. It's an excellent game. Some of the coolest level design in gaming, like the Clockwork
the mansion.
I forgot what it's called. Fantastic level, fantastic game. Please check out Dishonored games if you have not. They are amazing games. Please check them out.
Great art style too.
Oh my god, so good. Yeah. Dunwall is fantastic. The first game, the second game with Karnaka, beautiful.
Yeah.
Good old Harvey. I don't know if Harvey Smith directed those, but they are Arcane games. Maybe Arcane Leon, but yeah. Who's making Blade now?
I don't know if, you might be right. I don't know if he directed them, but he definitely had
I can't recall. Yeah. Maybe he did the first one. I'm not sure. It's been a while. Anyways, 2017.
Another super easy one for me. Divinity Original Sin 2.
Great pick, dude. Yeah.
One of my favorite games ever. CRPG by the creators of Baldur's Gate 3, Larian. Great CRPG. If you've played Baldur's Gate 3 and you haven't played Divinity Original Sin 2, go play Divinity Original Sin 2, which is also on consoles.
Yes.
Great game. Great CRPG.
Yeah. Fantastic game. It's what got me into CRPGs. So
True. Yeah. Nice.
If you've played the Baldur's Gate 3 and you play Divinity 2, it's lower budget. Just keep that in mind, but it's still fantastic. Don't let the production values turn you off. It's still a fantastic game.
Yeah, the only major difference are the cutscenes, right? In Baldur's Gate, when you have a conversation with them, the camera zooms in. Yeah. Divinity doesn't have that. It's always top-down perspective, but it's fantastic.
It's still fantastic, yeah. Yeah. Ben, 2017.
So the game, if I had to pick in 2017, it either would have been the Insane Trilogy, which I don't really count because it's a remake.
No, you can count that. That's fine.
Or it would be Cuphead. Yeah, I know, but those were both. Now, the reason it's one of those is because I didn't play Nier Automata until 2018, and 2018 isn't 2017. But Nier Automata would be my actual 2017 GOTY, even though I didn't play it till later. So take your pick, audience. It's either Nier or Cuphead or Insane Trilogy.
All great games. Love Cuphead.
Yeah,
that DLC was great. Also,
the DLC was great. I was so disappointed because I had it. I played the original, the base game for a long time before I beat it, and then right before the DLC came out, I went through and played Cuphead in its entirety to get ready for it. And then I beat, because I was like in practice, I guess, I beat the DLC in like a day. And I was really pissed that it was over. I was mad.
What is the Insane trilogy?
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh,
Crash
okay,
Bandicoot,
okay.
Yeah, they remade the trilogy.
Cool.
2017 for me is Breath of the Wild. I'm a huge Zelda fan already, and Breath of the Wild reinvented the series, did a lot of fantastic stuff that captured my imagination. I got qualms with it, but I can't deny the impact it had on me. All right, 2018, Lockmort.
Another easy one, Red Dead Redemption 2. One of my favorite, this entire list is one of my favorite games of all time. I guess that's the same for you guys. Red Dead Redemption 2 is like unrivaled in production value to me. Story, characters, but also the mechanics of the game, the stuff you could do. I know a lot of people had issues with it because the combat was like slower and the game was slower paced, and sometimes it even crawls down to like literally crawling, but it's immaculate. It's one of the only games I ever cried with.
Yeah, me too.
Never happened before or after, but fantastic game.
Yeah. Ben.
That's also my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead 2. I'll never forget the way that game made me feel, both as far as a game and as far as, emotionally. And I'm with you, Locke. Like, I'm not a crier. I don't really cry very often. And by very often, I mean I can't remember the last time. The last time might have been Red Dead 2, honestly. But it there might have been a tear or two. Just a great game from production value and a great story as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This game is not better than Red Dead, I would say, but I had the most fun with it. I love Red Dead. Don't get me wrong, though. It was Dragon Quest XI. I had so much fun with that game, dude. It was just delightful. You guys know I like Dragon Quest. We got it right back there on the wall. I adore it. But Red Dead is a better game, of course. But I love Dragon Quest XI. Loved it. 2019, Lockmort.
This was a bit of a tough one, but I had to pick Disco Elysium. Such a unique way in the game, in that the story of the game sometimes has like dialogue options that I would say. It's the only game I've ever played where I could pick an option of things to say that I would say to the characters in the game, which is so unique. I've never experienced that before or after. I know the game got like a lot of flack, including here on LSM, because people were saying it's like made by communists or whatever, but I had no idea that was the case when I played the game. And it's also, you can kind of tell if you play the game because there's like a lot of analogies in it, but it's a great game. It's a great story. It's a great CRPG. I love Disco Elysium.
Cool. Yeah, I played through it. I enjoyed it. I had some problems with it, but I did enjoy it overall. I thought it was a great game. Ben.
Control.
Ooh.
Control was my GOTY in 2019, yeah.
Nice.
I don't remember if I actually beat it that year or not, but that was still my game of the year, regardless. It's just I don't know. I think that game is perfect in every way. Obviously not literally perfect, like especially when it launched, because I played it, I think, even before launch. And there were some issues with performance for sure at the beginning, but that game, just the longer it goes without me playing it, the more I want to go back and play it again.
Mm-hmm.
I never played the DLC, which I need to go back and play the DLC.
Same.
At some point, but yeah, Control, phenomenal game. I almost said Fallen Order. Said Fallen Order.
Great pick too.
Yeah,
really good pick. Love Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Did you play Survivor, Ben?
No, it's on my list to get to before the end of the year. Yeah,
awesome game.
Yeah,
so good.
Even better than
even better.
Order. Yeah.
All right, 2019 for me is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, one of From Software's best games ever. Like some days I like it the most out of all their games. Just a pretty much flawless video game, except for a few parts. God, I wish I gave this game a 10 when I reviewed it. I chickened out. I gave it a 9.5. Damn it. I was so close. So that's the closest I've ever been to giving a game a 10. Just an amazing, amazing game. Different approach, very different. On the surface, it looks like a Souls game, but once you start getting into the nitty gritty, it definitely stands on its own. Incredible game. Also, the Game Awards Game of the Year. They got it right that year.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So
that's a game that probably would be my pick, but I played it. I was playing it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to PAX, after you got the code. I went to PAX, came back and didn't pick it back up until like 2022.
Oh,
until I finished
okay.
it. But yeah, phenomenal game, absolutely.
Yep, my favorite boss fight of all time, the very end boss fight.
Oh yeah,
nice.
All right, 2020, a very chill, calm year. Lockport.
Not for me, because
that was a joke.
I know there were a lot of games, but my favorite game that year was by far Wasteland 3.
Oh yeah,
another CRPG. The list is full of them, just a fair warning. But I love Wasteland 3 as well. The choices and consequences in Wasteland 3 are probably the most expensive I've ever played in any game. Like you can pick multiple factions in that game. You can pit them against each other. The story in that game is highly unique. It's so different than most other games where you're like kill God and win the game or whatever. But in Wasteland 3 is highly personal. Like you have to pick. Like if there's a father and he has his kids and his kids want to usurp him, so you have to pick which kid or the father or what do you do. It's a really great game. I love Wasteland 3. Yeah.
Ben,
I gotta say, looking back, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
But I didn't finish it until last year. No, this year. I dropped that game. So, in the spirit of fairness, I can't call it my game of the year because it wasn't my game of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
So, I think Ghost of Tsushima was the game of the year for me, personally.
Awesome game.
That year. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good ones that year, man. There really were a lot of good games, but in that year, Ghost was definitely, and it was a game much like a game I'll talk about later. It was a game that was not at all on my radar. It was on my radar. I just didn't think I was going to care about it. And then some friends picked it up, and by the end of the week it came out, I was like, I got to play it, and I played it, and I powered through that game. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for the sequel, whenever that may be.
2020 for me, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII, the original's maybe my favorite game of all time. So getting a remake of that game, I've been waiting for a long time, and it delivered in so many ways that I didn't even imagine. Fantastic combat, really good job with the characters. Everyone acts exactly how they should in that game, in my opinion. Like their personalities and everything. Just top notch, all around production. Loved it.
Nice.
All right, Locke. 2021.
I think this was the year where there weren't a lot of games for me, if I'm correct. So I looked at the list, and my favorite game that year is the game I think I put close to the most hours in any game I've ever played, which was Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, which is another CRPG. It's the last one on my list. But this is one where you have to kill God and then become a god. And that's basically what the whole game is about. It's really cool because you have these different deities where you have to choose between, and then you can become one of them. So you can become an evil god or a great god, or there's you can become like a necromancer or a lich, or there's so many possibilities. And again, CRPGs are known for this, but this one does it really well. So many choices and consequences. It's a great game. Yeah, great game. It's also on console if you want to try it. Yeah.
Nice. Ben?
We're on 2021. Hitman 3. That's also another year that didn't have a lot for me. But Hitman 3, I played a lot of hours of that game. And just the fact that you can go in to any of the different levels and you can do it in a million different ways. You can complete the level, and all the different hysterical moments that you accidentally have that you didn't know something was possible and then it just happens. Definitely Hitman 3 for me.
Hell yeah. Hitman 3. Cool. Awesome game.
Yeah.
All right, for me, it was Endwalker, Final Fantasy XIV expansion. It was the culmination of the 10-year arc that had been going on, and they pulled it off. I was very pleased with it, really loved it. They ended that story in a nice way, so I love that game. Hell yeah, way to go. Yeah. Quick runner-up, Returnal, though. Loved Returnal as well. Nice. Really great.
I never finished Returnal because it bricked my PlayStation.
So. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Actually, in fairness to Returnal, I don't think Returnal had anything to do with it. I think the PlayStation was dead. But once I got after the 2-month ordeal of getting my PlayStation replaced, I just didn't have the energy to go back to it. I want to someday because I was so pumped for that game, and then I was so devastated when it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I still need to play that DLC they added.
Yeah,
the tower. One day. All right, 2022. Lockmore.
Well, the popular thing here is to say Elden Ring, of course, but I already explained earlier, I like Dark Souls 1 is still my favorite Dark Souls, so I can't put Elden Ring here, even though I loved Elden Ring. But my favorite one that year was Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
Such an easy game, such a simple indie game. I almost put Return to Monkey Island here because that's the game I loved the most that year. Because I grew up on Monkey Island, so that to return to it finally after like a decade was amazing. But I put so many hours into Vampire Survivor. It's such a great game. Such a simple premise, but so cool. I love it. So I have to give it to Vampire Survivors. Yeah.
Nice. Ben.
I had a hard time with this one, and not because there were too many, but because there were just nothing stood out as like crazier than something else for me. But I think the game I probably enjoyed the most, I don't know if it was the best game, was God of War Ragnarok. Very end of the year, so just barely made that cutoff. But I really enjoyed it. I loved the 2018 God of War, of course. Not more than Red Dead 2, of course. But yeah, I think Ragnarok probably did it for me. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it had come out in a strong year of my preferences, if it would have been game of the year. But that year it for sure was.
Yeah, totally. 2020 for me, easy answer, Elden Ring. Without doubt. I don't know. I gush about this game so much, I don't need to say anything else. You guys know. Everyone knows. All right, 2023. Lock.
Baldur's Gate 3. Like, no, I don't have to think about it. That's, yeah. Game of the year.
You said there were no more CRPGs here.
Oh, that's true. Well, that's the last one.
When you said that, I was so confused. I was like, "There's no way he's not picking Baldur's Gate 3."
That's true. That's a good point. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. What can I say? It's immaculate. Game of the decade to me. Play it if you haven't.
Yeah, incredible game.
Yeah.
Ben?
Baldur's Gate 3 would be my answer, and probably really is my answer. But I only made it about halfway through Act 3 before the performance just got so bad. And I never went back to it. And I'm ashamed of myself. And Lockmore reminds me of it occasionally. That I've never gone back to it. I will go back. I'll probably start a whole new playthrough and go through it. So the answer, because I can't justify saying a game I didn't beat as my game of the year, is Alan Wake 2. I adored Alan Wake 2.
Nice.
Just it was everything I wanted after not knowing that I wanted it for a decade, I guess, from Alan Wake. And yeah, it really surprised me on a lot of different levels. I enjoyed it a ton.
Great game.
Yeah, awesome game. For me, it was Tears of the Kingdom, sequel to Breath of the Wild. It kind of made Breath of the Wild almost irrelevant to me, where it just did everything better than the first game. So loved that game. Had so much fun with it. Once again, still got qualms with it. I do with all my favorite stuff, but
of course, yeah,
loved it. Baldur's Gate 3, though, probably second place. Lock, so fear not.
Good.
All right, 2024. The year's not over, but let's list our current GOTYs so far. Lock, go ahead.
Well, I haven't played many new games this year, which is except for Suicide Squad, but that's not let's not get into that again. So I have to say, from the new games I played, it has to be Rebirth. But to be honest,
you haven't finished it yet, right?
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, and I think Fallout London does more for me as like a Western RPG enjoyer right now. But that's a mod, so that doesn't count. But I'm 1,000,000% convinced that to me, not in general, but to me, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to surpass it, and possibly Dragon Age 4, and definitely Indie, I think, for me. But I think overall, it's probably going to, if it's not Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's probably going to be Rebirth. That's going to be Game of the Year this year, I think.
Wow.
For most people, not for me.
But. Oh, for most people, yeah. I was going to say for you. I was like, whoa.
No, Brad, no, of course not. Are you crazy?
No. Yeah.
shitty weep game? No, hell no. No, it was great. It was awesome. I was blown away. I'll definitely finish it still.
One day. What happened? Did you give up on the Persona 3 thing with Dustin? Is that over?
Look, I made a bet with Dustin that I had 6 months to play and finish it, I think, right?
Yes.
So I had to finish it by August 1st. And then about a week ago, Dustin said, "How's your playthrough going?" And I was like, "Oh, crap." So no, I didn't finish it. But it's not because it's a bad game or I didn't want to get back to it. first of all, I forgot about it, and second of all, I just didn't have time. There's been so many games I had to do in my backlog, and then there's work. So, but I still will get back to it because what I played was awesome. It's a great game.
Nice. Ben.
2024 so far.
Yep.
Definitely Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier that I didn't play Remake in its entirety until this year, and that's because I love the original so much that when I played Remake, for whatever reason, it just I seriously have played the original a dozen times, probably, and for whatever reason, Remake, I was just like, no, I don't. I was being the stickler. I was like, there's too much here. It's different. I don't like it. Like, I know this isn't it. And then when I played it again, I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is good. And then Rebirth just came and was phenomenal for me. I think I put 110 hours into it. Didn't even platinum it yet. I just completionist played it really the first playthrough, and I've got problems with it. It moves a little slower in the story than I would prefer, but I also know that part of that was due to my own doing in insisting upon doing every side activity as they popped up.
Sure, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. So that Rebirth is definitely so far this year my GOTY.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely mine as well. Loved it. Fantastic game. I had such a great experience with that game. I got to take my time with it, go at my own pace.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I loved every second of it. Yeah, it's a long ass game, but that didn't bother me. I wanted it to be longer. I was like, give me more right now.
I know Colin and many other people were saying about how it was just too long for them. I'm like,
just don't do all the side quests.
I want it this long. Like I like it long is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I like it long.
I don't get it. Just if you want the story to move along, just do the main story.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. You can do side quests later. You're not forced to do them. Have some self-control. Fucking babies.
Damn. Are you interested in any of the Western games coming out this year, like Dragon Age 4 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Indie?
Yeah. I'm interested.
Okay. Yeah.
Kingdom Come, I am interested, but I need to play the first one, obviously, first. Well, not obviously, but I want to, because I know it's an incredible game, according to everyone already, so I want that context.
Yeah.
But Dragon Age, I'm curious about. I've played Dragon Age 1 and 2, so I haven't played Inquisition, but I don't know if I'll ever get to it. But yeah, I'm curious about Dragon Age, of course. Western games, Indiana Jones, I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Me too.
Gonna be cool.
I was looking forward to Avowed, but it got delayed, so
good.
Which is fine, honestly, with me. We got too much shit already. So yeah, fear not, Block. We don't discriminate the Western devs here.
No. I was just wondering, for your case, because you like Japanese games so much, so I figured because you've also got that metaphor of
Re Fantasio, yeah.
That's the one.
In October. Yeah, I know. Terrible name. Terrible name. But yeah, that's our GOTYs for the last 10 years. I enjoyed hearing your guys' takes. I got a couple of your guys' right, but it's been a blur for some of the years, so
yeah,
it was nice to get a little refresher.
Cool.
All right. Let's talk about games we're actually playing. Ben, we're going to start with you with Marvel Rivals. Please tell us about this.
So I have loved Marvel in some way, shape, or form since I was about, I don't know. I'm going to say the first time I remember is like 4 or 5 years old, but probably before that, because what little kid doesn't like Spider-Man or whatever. So when they announced this, I said, that's an Overwatch clone, which I love Overwatch. I played Overwatch when it came out. I played it periodically over the years. I've dropped it mostly recently, unless Locke cajoles me into playing it with them, which is always fun. I always have a good time, but I just don't ever have the incentive. Like, I don't ever feel like I want to play it on my own, And I really enjoyed Overwatch over the years. Overwatch 2 is what it is. And Marvel Rivals was coming out, and of course, this is just the beta, or the closed beta test, or whatever it is. And I was really disappointed because the moment you could request access on Steam, because you had to request access to the beta, I did, and never got a code or anything. And then they were doing like Twitch drops, and you could get a code from somebody else who was playing in game and unlock it. And they were super. I don't think I got it for like 3 or 4 days after the test started. But once I did, I think I sunk between when I got access and 4 or 5 days later, whatever it was, probably, I can look at Steam. I want to say about 16, 18 hours into it, something like that.
Wow.
Nice.
And man, I really enjoy it. Now, I streamed it one night and people were like, wow, this is literally just an Overwatch clone. And I was like, it is. And if you're going to do a game that is trying to be the same as like the same style as the best game in this genre, then why not just clone it? And now, I mean, I take a little bit of umbrage with it because sometimes I'm like, okay, that's literally just Tracer right there. Like, you know, you look at characters and you're like, this is exactly what it is. So for those who don't know, Marvel Rivals is a hero shooter. It's actually a real hero shooter. It's not like Concord, okay, which I did like and I did praise a couple weeks ago when I played that beta, but it's not a hero shooter. This is an actual hero shooter. You're actually doing the same things as you should be in a hero shooter. You're not just playing Call of Duty, you know, while you're playing it. And of course, it's based on the Marvel IP. You've got some of the biggest Marvel characters in there. Of course, there are many that still aren't in there, which I'm sure is going to be their seasonal model for the next however long.
Yeah, of course.
It was a little surprising to me. I think this game's actually going to be on mobile as well, which when I think of mobile, I still think of like, you know, Angry Birds. And maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on mobile. I know people play on mobile with controllers and everything now too. So it's a little surprising, but the game runs flawlessly. The appeal of the Marvel IP is there. All the characters have, you know, unique powers to each other. Many of them enhance each other. Again, a lot of these characters are literally just like, okay, this character does this, and that's exactly like this character in Overwatch. With a little bit of flair, maybe, a little bit different. And so they've got, they had two main modes, of course. They had, you know, the payload, and they had capture the point, essentially. And I'm sure they'll have more as it goes forward. And they had both in this beta. They had you know, regular free play, quick match, whatever it is, and then they had competitive as well. I only got to get into the competitive the last 2 days I was playing. Got as high as silver 1, then it was over. Like the beta was over, so I couldn't get any further than that. But I don't know, man. I'm really enjoying it. I'm sure the you know, the glamour of this game will fall off for me eventually too, because eventually I just get tired of doing the exact same thing all the time. But I love multiplayer. If I could play with my buddies, that was one of the biggest disappointments for this, was that I couldn't invite a friend to play with me, and another friend had gotten in. So I'll say the game looks phenomenal. The game plays phenomenally. Like, it felt very light. Now, granted, I do have a brand new computer, so I was playing on like a nice rig, but also like I didn't see any complaints or anybody else saying that it had performance issues. The biggest issues, honestly, are the balancing. And I mean, that's to be expected in a beta test for a hero shooter, is that there's going to be some balancing issues. There were a couple of the characters that were just a little bit too squishy, a couple of the characters that were just a little bit too overpowered. But I think, one, as people learn them, they learn ways to combat them, they'll tweak that. You know, they'll be able to defeat or buff that character. And then, two, of course, the developers are going to continue making adjustments as we go forward. There are a couple things that stand out about this over other hero shooters, notably Overwatch. One, destructible environments. So when you go into an area, there's a bunch of stuff around, you can destroy it all. Now, you know, everything doesn't come crashing down. You don't fall through the floor. Like, nothing collapses on you, whatever. But, you know, if there's a wall in between you and your enemy, you can blow that wall out, and then they don't have a line of sight anymore. And I couldn't tell exactly when it happens, if it's just a timing thing or if it's when enough characters like die and go back to spawn. But the structures do rebuild themselves over time. And sometimes it's really annoying because you're like, I have the perfect line into like the hallway they're coming up, and now the structure just rebuilt itself in my place. But I think that's cool too, because it makes the environments dynamic and they change, and they could do a lot more with it. I think they could make it a little bit more destructible. Honestly, from my perspective, I love destructible environments, but it is it adds a different dynamic to a hero shooter than we've had thus far. And then the other big thing that is different about this is that there are team up abilities. So, for instance, if you're playing as Magneto, let's say, he's got a few attacks, they're pretty good, he's a great tank. But then if you also have Scarlet Witch on your team and you're playing as Magneto, Scarlet Witch gives Magneto the ability to use a sword that is like super powerful. And I mean, it's a special ability. It's only available, it's got a cooldown on it, but it enhances that. There's other ones that, if you're using Punisher and Rocket Raccoon's on your team, he can throw down a thing to make you be able to fire endlessly instead of having to reload in between. So like they have these cool team up abilities, and the cool thing about it is that it's all pertaining to their lore. Like, characters that have never interacted before in the Marvel universe, which is very few if you look at comics and movies and everything combined. But anyway, they're not going to have a team up ability. But like, Scarlet Witch and Magneto are father and daughter, so their abilities make sense that they're linked together. So there's cool stuff like that, and I think that's like special little catch that puts this that separates this a little bit out from other hero shooters. Obviously, the IP is the biggest thing, because if I'm a brand new gamer and I'm looking at, I want to play a hero shooter, even though how would I know what that is if I'm a brand new gamer? But let's say I want to play a hero shooter, I'm going to pick the one with the characters I recognize from my childhood and my adult whatever over one like Overwatch, which Overwatch is still phenomenal and the characters are obviously everywhere, but I think Marvel has that little bit of edge there as far as brand new player recognition. And then, like I said, the team up abilities are really cool. There's a lot that are very complex, and I didn't even understand them fully. In fairness, I wasn't trying real hard. I found 6 or 8 characters that I really enjoyed and just kind of cycled through them. And yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait for it to come out. I think it's going to be free to play. Of course, I have no idea how the monetization will actually be, but I would imagine there's a battle pass and skins you can buy, just like most games like that. They had in-game credits turned on, and I think I bought almost every skin with those in-game credits just by playing. But I'm sure that won't be exactly the same when it actually releases. So it's a lot of fun. Locke, I was like every day going in to hit the refresh thing to see if I could get another code to send it to you, because I thought between you and our friend Poot, if anybody has a good perspective on this, it would be you two, because I know you guys play Overwatch literally every day. So, but I could never get another code, which again was a big disappointment.
Well, I still appreciate it, Ben. Thank you.
No.
You're a real
Ben,
friend.
A real friend. That's true. Yeah. He is a real friend. These team up abilities you're talking about are interesting. I like the idea of them, but Ben, the thing I worry about this is that if someone picks a specific character, another player will feel pressured to pick a character that has good synergy with that character for this ability. Now, I know that's something that it's like even in Overwatch, these two heroes go well together, but is it definitely a thing where it's like, well, they're Magneto now, so we definitely need a Scarlet Witch, do you think?
I'll say this. In the quick matches I played, now, of course, this is it's a very fresh game. A lot of people getting in for the first time, not a lot of meta to really deal with, but the powers are such, like they're so good that if somebody else picks that character and let's say somebody else picks Magneto and you've ever played Scarlet Witch, you're gonna be like, I need to get Scarlet Witch because I want my team to win. Like, okay, I think you're right that there may be a little bit of pressure, but it's not just like, oh, you get a 2% boost to your damage or something. It's like substantial things. If any of the spider characters, so Venom, Spider-Man, Penny Parker, if any of them are on the map together, like the abilities go crazy and they just become like a larger version of themselves. Not literally larger, a better version of themselves already. And so like if you're somebody who likes to play Scarlet Witch already, but you were thinking about playing somebody else and somebody picks Magneto, you're like, I'm going to play Scarlet Witch because I know that will help my team. Now, I will say that when I was playing the quick matches, which of course is just, basically casuals, whatever, you can, so when you're selecting your character, you can request a team up. So like I go in, I pick Scarlet Witch and I can click like I want a team up from Magneto. Maybe people didn't know that was there or whatever, and you remind them. When I was playing quick matches though, I would go in, I'd pick a character, I'd select their team up, whatever, I'd ask for it. Probably like 4% of the time I got somebody who actually picked that character's team up. When I was playing the competitive stuff, literally every character, I mean, you have an uneven amount. I'm trying to remember now how many characters you have, 5 or 6, I guess. But I think almost every time I was playing, all but one character had somebody who matched up with their team up ability. And it even like pops up on the beginning screen and shows you like team up ability activated. So I think the people who understand that and know that are willing to play those. And if they're not, they're hurting their team. But In the non-competitive, no, nobody felt pressured to do that. It didn't seem like nobody was. Right. It was more like, oh, we need 2 healers here or something like that, rather than just team up abilities. But in the competitive, when people are actually like trying to figure out what the meta is, then definitely that was the case. And it does seem like they'd be like some of them are really powerful, the team up abilities, just by having, again, I'm just going to keep using this example, just by having Magneto have that sword. Like you're probably gonna, once he activates that, you're probably getting at least 1 kill, like guaranteed. As soon as that becomes available, he activates it, you're getting 1 kill. No problem, no question asked. But with that said, they're easy to combat too if you have team up abilities on the other side. So like it's just a matter of, okay, if I see the other team has Scarlet Witch and Magneto, I know I definitely need to pick Rocket Raccoon and Punisher or whatever. I don't know if that's the best
counter pick.
Yeah, I mean that is a team up, but I don't know if that's the best counter pick. But so I think there's a lot more. I think a lot of strategy goes into that. You know, you're always looking in team shooters at competitive advantage, and you're always looking at how to counter somebody. But I think that adds a different dynamic to it for sure. So that's a very long-winded question or answer to your question. Do you think it will force people? If they're playing competitive, absolutely, and it should. If you're playing in competitive, you should try to have the best advantage over your team, over the other team. But in casuals, no, play whatever you want. Just have fun.
Who did you enjoy playing the most?
Because I had such a limited amount of time, I wasn't able to perfect some of the characters that I really wanted to play as more. Like I really wanted to play as Hela more. She's more of like a sniper to some extent. I really wanted to get more into some of the tank characters as well. But what I ended up doing mostly was DPS and support. I think they have different names for them, which is really, it's like, come on, just call them DPS. Like, just call them what they are. So I played a lot of Scarlet Witch. I played a fair bit of Punisher, which, you know, Punisher is just Soldier 76. He's the easy character to play. Scarlet Witch is the Moy Rush, where you left click and you suck the life out of somebody, whatever. But I played a good bit of, I'm having trouble remembering her name, Mantis. I played a good bit of Mantis as support. And I really, when I was playing competitive, I was almost exclusively like the characters I knew how to play. But when I was playing in non-competitive, I was just like, well, let me try this one next. Sure. And play a couple matches with them, and then, you know, figure out if I like them, switch off. So probably the one I have the most hours in, though, is Scarlet Witch. But she's also a very easy character to play. I just didn't feel like I had the time to perfect my my skills with other ones.
Is Wolverine in the game?
Not yet, but I'm positive he will be. Oh yeah, guarantee he will be. I mean, there's so many characters they haven't added in yet. I mean, I'm sure Professor X at some point is going to be in there. Deadpool, Wolverine.
Wait, like Professor X, like in his wheelchair or something?
They'll figure it out, man. They'll figure it out.
Okay, yeah, they'll figure it out. You're right.
I mean, he's a huge character. People love him.
Yeah, he is.
He's the X-Men leader, so he's got to be there. But there are just so many characters, and of course you've got so many minor Marvel characters that people love. But you're definitely going to have, you know, at some point Vision's going to be there, guaranteed, and that's going to be a separate power up with Scarlet Witch, I'm sure. So there's a lot of potential there for new characters to be added, and even if they aren't major characters that you know, a lot of those minor characters have really cool abilities. I mean, there were very few X-Men. Just think about the X-Men roster alone. Like very few of them are in the beta, and I'm sure that, you know, this is the season of whoever, and it's going to be a cash machine too, because the skins they have for most of the characters are pretty solid. Like the skins they already had in the game that you could buy with in-game currency. Only one character I played that I totally hated.
Who was?
I played every character. There was only one, and I don't even know who it is. And his name is Jeff the Land Shark.
Jeff the Land Shark?
He's a shark, and he's a healer predominantly. I'm sure if you're really good with him and you're effective, like the character would be awesome. I was absolute dog shit playing him, and my chat was roasting me. I mean, I was roasting myself, but I was being roasted as well.
He's like a shark dog?
He's a shark with legs.
Yeah, he's a shark dog. He has like a dog collar on.
Oh, does he? Okay. All right.
Weird.
And the reason I thought of that is because the skin for that character is just you change the skin color from blue to gray. Like he doesn't look cooler or anything. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But everybody else had, maybe not everybody was my cup of tea to play as, but everybody else, like, I could tell that they were effective or they had cool moves or whatever. And that's important to want to play as somebody who is cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, cool. Lockhart, I assume you're interested in this?
Yes and no. I think the main problem with it is that it's free to play, or it's going to be free to play. And that is what destroyed Overwatch, basically. Because you have like all these new people coming in who don't know how to play. And if you're stuck with them, then you're done. Then your game is basically over. Overwatch was so good because you had to pay for it. So the people who paid for it basically were the only ones playing it. So you knew that if you were at a higher rank with people, then you knew like, oh, okay, these people know how to play. Well, right now, it happens so often, if not every day, that we get like a DPS on our team who doesn't know what he's doing, and then you're done. You're especially in Overwatch too.
Are you playing ranked mode, or are you playing just casual?
Always ranked, always competitive.
Okay.
Never casual. So I think that might be an issue. But other than that, it looked really cool. Like I like Ben, hearing Ben talk about it, it sounds really cool. I've heard positive things. I've also heard some not so positive things, but that's personal opinion. It doesn't really matter. It looks cool. I'll definitely try it whenever it comes out. I'm excited to play with you, Ben. Yeah, I'll definitely play it. Looks cool.
Yeah,
I think
I'll check it out.
One of the things they could do to combat that stuff, which I don't think they will because they want more people to play it, if they would just put in, some minimum requirement for people to play ranked mode. Because casuals, like you said, who cares? Whatever. You're just there to have fun. You're playing the game.
Sure, of course.
But, I mean, it is frustrating when you get somebody on your team who doesn't know how to play, even in casuals. But at least it's casuals. But in competitive, if they would just put in, like, you have to maintain, this win percentage or something like that.
Yes.
To be able to enter in. Maybe once you're in, you don't have that. But, like, to get into it to begin with, have a minimum requirement or minimum level or minimum amount of hours or whatever. Yeah. Just some kind of bare minimum, especially for a free to play. I do think that would go a long way.
Did you notice how many people are in a team at a time? 5, 6?
I said 5 or 6. I'm having trouble actually remembering now, though.
Oh, okay. But did you notice that if someone on your team was bad, were you done, or could you still like recuperate or make up for it, or?
Only. No, I didn't notice that. I didn't really. I thought that was going to be the case. That's the only time that was the case is if we only had one healer and they were not doing their job well, or they got killed. And I mean, I think that's kind of always going to be the case. It's 6 teams of 6, by the way.
Yeah.
And do they have you pick between like support, tank or healer, or damage, tank or healer, or do you have to free pick whatever you want?
The mode that I was in competitive was the only mode that they had available. Was a free pick, but from what I understand, they're going to have that option,
like
as well.
Queue for a role or something.
For a role, because I know Overwatch originally didn't have that, and then they added it, and I felt like the game became way better after they added that. Yeah, because nobody I shouldn't say nobody, because I do genuinely I'm dog shit at it, but I like playing support. But nobody wants to play support because it's boring. You don't get to do all the damage. You don't get to get up in people's faces.
I play support.
I know. I'm saying like
normal people.
The average gamer is like, no, I want to be the MVP of the match, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think forcing people to pick a role is a good move. And I did see, I don't know if it was speculation or if it was actually something that developers have said, because they've been pretty communicative. Something on the subreddit for Marvel Rivals that they were like, yeah, they're adding in a mandatory pick. I like the fact that there's a competitive mode that doesn't have that, in case people don't want to be pigeonholed into something.
Sure.
But the fact that it is going to be an option, I think that will be the option I will prefer.
Yeah, that makes me very excited for it. That definitely makes me want to try it. I'm excited for it now. That's cool.
Cool. Billy B wrote in, "Hey boys, I put about 30 hours into Marvel Rivals and I'm loving it. Of all the hero shooters that have come and gone, this one certainly gives me the most early Overwatch vibes. What aspects of Rivals do you think helped it take off compared to Concord, which fell flat on its face?" Damn.
I think, a couple things. One, I think even though Concord is being presented, I mentioned this earlier, but it's being presented as a hero shooter, people are, I don't know if PlayStation's actually saying that, but that's what people are calling it.
Yeah.
It's only a hero shooter in that you're playing a shooter with heroes.
So a
It's
hero
not-
shooter? That's
I mean, it literally is a hero shooter. You're playing, but
Yes.
it's not the same type
You're
of
not
game.
doing payloads and
Yeah.
stuff like that, like
You
TF2
don't-
and Overwatch.
It's not the same game modes for sure. So I'll say that first, and that's part of it. The other thing is that one, even though it was free to play for the beta, for the open beta, people who know that it's not going to be free to play aren't interested.
Right.
Two,
Yeah.
it doesn't have the IP support. Like, okay, it's a game from PlayStation, whatever, that has good notoriety, but like, it's not Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like this random green guy, he's not Spider-Man. He's not the Hulk. Who cares? So I think those are big things. And then 3, I really think they shot themselves right in the foot when they first revealed that game with that cinematic, which whether you like that cinematic or not, you can't pretend like that did the game any favors because it wasn't the game.
Yeah.
Like it,
True.
maybe you liked that cinematic, you thought it was great, but it still wasn't the game. It wasn't gameplay. And I think that cinematic was absolutely terrible, but I still like the game. But if I had based my desire to play or not on that, so I think that was it. I think pay, lack of IP, acknowledge or notoriety. I think those are the 2 big things, honestly.
Yeah, it's so funny you talk about how the game was shown. It's like Concord, I think, copied a lot of what Overwatch did actually in 2016 with Overwatch was $40 on PC when it came out, which this is $40.
Yeah.
They were both shown. The first things we saw of the game were CG trailers, but people liked the Overwatch CG trailer right away because the characters.
It was good.
Because it was good. Yeah. Then we saw gameplay. So it's like they did a lot of the same things, but the characters and the tone of the game, people did not gel with nearly at all. And I mean, it's not 2016 anymore. Also,
right. That's a problem. Yeah.
So most games like this are free to play, and it is hard to get, especially with that new IP. I suppose when no one knows what any of these characters are or do really love them, it's gonna be hard for people to spend $40 for this when there's so many competitors out there. Agreed. Like I'm sure this beta didn't do Concord any favors. I saw the beta had pretty good numbers, so. Yeah, I mean, Overwatch is still going. It's still popular. It's just not as mainstream as it used to be.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just think $40 right now is not good for Concord, but we'll see.
When is Marvel Rivals launching? Do you know the date?
They haven't announced yet, but a lot of the speculation is early next year, like maybe February.
Early next year.
Late.
Okay, so still got a ways to go. Okay,
that's just speculation. They haven't announced it, and I mean, they just had a big beta, so I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a date, and I wouldn't surprise me if it's late. But later this year is pretty packed, so if they're smart, they may stay away from it. But it is a free to play game, so like you get people in. I will say this in kind of closing remarks about Marvel Rivals, and I know that part of it has to do with my appeal towards the IP, but like I'm not somebody who normally spends money on skins or anything in game. I can see myself sinking some money into Marvel Rivals.
Sure.
Okay.
Whereas I look at Concord and I'm like, I don't give a shit.
No,
it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter. If I'm gonna play Concord, which I'm probably not gonna spend $40 on it. If I'm gonna play Concord, I'm like, just give me the random guy and let me shoot. Like I don't care about how I look, how anything. But with the Marvel characters, I'm like, I want to look badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that again, some bias there, but I think that's for somebody like me who doesn't really spend money on in-game purchases, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
I really think it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, Overwatch got me. I was like, God damn, the skin's sick.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like I need this.
Back in the day, before you could even pick your skins, I remember. Buying loot boxes. Not a lot. Like I didn't go crazy, but I definitely was like, I gotta try.
Yeah,
yeah,
gotta get this skin. All right, we will keep an eye on Marvel Rivals. We'll see how it does.
Sounds cool.
Or not Ben. Locke. Fallout London, the long-awaited mod, finally came out from Fallout 4. You've been playing it. Talk to me.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of it. I unexpectedly love it because normally I like mods and I dabble in mods a lot. But whenever I play a mod, or especially a full conversion mod like Fallout London is, I always yearn for like the main game. after a couple of hours. But with Fallout London, what Team Folon did is actually create like a whole new Fallout game. What they did is extremely impressive because it doesn't feel like a mod once you're done actually modding it. Because if you buy it on Steam, you have to downgrade the game and then install them up. But if you buy it on GOG, you can just download it right away, but you still have to use like the buff out mod. So there is some tinkering involved, and it's not on consoles. It's only on PC, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully in the future, you never know. But what makes Fallout London so cool is that it's basically Fallout 5, which is a bit of an over-exaggeration because it's basically Fallout 4, of course. But they took everything from Fallout 4, like literally everything, all the assets, all the enemies, the building mechanics, everything, and changed it to look like it was built or it was made in the UK. So you don't have bottle caps anymore, even though they're still in the game. But like the currency is metro tickets or tube tickets now, which is really cool. All the bars from Boston have been transported to the UK in London. So every environment is like dark and brown and gritty, and it's raining more. And the enemies are most of the time rat-based. Like
do they have British accents?
They do. Oh, well, not the yes. All the factions have British accents, which is pretty cool. But you got like rat shrews, which are like little mice enemies. You got ladybugs, you got leeches, you got pig rats, rat rats, which are rats mixed with radiation. You got radgers, which are badgers. So it's really cool. They really transformed the whole game into having like a UK feeling, which is really cool. It works really well. And the story is also highly interesting because at the start of the game, you don't wake up in a vault. You basically wake up in a test tube. And you got like a couple of scientists outside of the test tube talking about the experiment. And then they get shot because people get into the facility. They're on a run. You don't really know what's going on. And the scientists get shot. And from there on out, it's up to you. You have amnesia, go find out what's going on. I know it's like a basic premise for a lot of games, having amnesia, but it works really well here in Fallout London. Because Fallout London is not really story-based. There is a main story. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it's mostly about immersion and exploration. There's not endless side quests that you can find. There's not endless landscapes to traverse through. It's mostly based in London center. So everything is very huddled together, but it's very dense. The map is very dense. So it's mostly about exploration, mostly about finding new things, finding new enemies, finding new factions. There's a shit ton of factions in this game. So far, I'm not at the end yet, but so far I found like 6 or 7 of them. But apparently there's like 13 or something like that. Yeah, there's so many. The ones I found were the Owl of Dogs, which are basically criminals and merchants, all have a British accent, of course. There's the Vagabonds, which are the enemies of the Owl of Dogs. So all the factions are like opposed to each other, which is really cool. There's the Gentry, which are the current rulers of London, and their backstory is that they're descendants of like the aristocrats. There's the Tommies, that's the militia, the protectors of London. There's the Thames folk, which are basically mutants. So there's so many little intricate differences between all the factions, and they really oppose each other in a fun way. So you have to pick and choose. Like choices and consequences are once again very important in Fallout London, just like it was, or even more so than it was in the main game. But like I said, most of the game is about environmental storytelling. Most of the game is about finding buildings in London that are recognizable. They really did a great job. I've never been to Boston myself, but people tell me that they could find buildings that were in Boston in Fallout 4. But I've been to London many times, and you can find many buildings that are actually in London. And they did a great job making it seem like they just plucked it out from there and put it in here. There's also a bunch of new companions. I don't want to spoil them because they're very fun, but you get a new dog, which is not dog meat, but you get like a little bulldog called Churchill, which is really cool. One of the companions is I'll just spoil one, but there's many more. One of them is called Mad Jack, who is like a boxer. So whenever you run up to enemies, he just tries punching them. Because another difference between the UK and the US, of course, no guns. There are guns in Fallout London, but not that many. Most of it is melee based. It's also more survival based. Like you can't really run up to enemies and start killing them because you only have like a flimsy knife. So it's much more immersive that way, at least to me. There's also way less stim packs, way less guns, more radiation everywhere. So it's kind of more survival horror based in that regard, which makes it really fun. But yeah, I'm having a great time. I think I'm about 20 to 30 hours in, and supposedly 50 to 60 hours. So it's really huge too.
Damn.
It's also a bit more linear, I gotta say, because in Fallout, once you get out of your first settlement, once you get out of Sanctuary, I think it's called, it's basically go do whatever. While here it's more, well, like I said, the map is more dense, so it's more linear. You basically go from quest to quest or from exploration to exploration. The points of interest are much smaller. It's all closer together. There's laundromats, there's bars, but there's not. You can't find like factories like there were in Fallout 4.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm having a great time. It's a fantastic. What they've done is insane.
Yeah, just for how much you've played of it already, and you're not done. Yeah. That's very impressive. How big this game is, or mod. Yeah. Did they add any new gameplay features? Like any new? I don't know. Like new.
Not really, because that's not possible for the create. It's still the creation engine, of course. So. Gameplay elements, they have a train, which is impossible in other Bethesda games. You can't really drive it, of course, but that's the intro. Like you're in a train.
Can it run you over?
No, but it does crash, which is cool. So gameplay elements, not really, but they did refine a lot of the gameplay elements that were already there. Like melee combat is still, because it's the creation engine, so melee combat is still a bit iffy, not that great, but it works. The voice acting is also, because it's a mod, so it's made by, well, it's not made by amateurs, it's made by great developers who I hope will get a job at Bethesda.
But it's like developers probably voicing the characters, it's not professional actors probably.
Some of them are. I think even a former not prime minister, like a former government executive does voice work in it too.
Really?
Which is
That's really cool.
I think he does the intro. I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. But yeah, he does a great job. Most of the voice actors I've encountered are doing a great job. They also listen to the feedback from people who played Fallout 4, so there's no voiced protagonist. So you're mostly silent. And also very important, they did what Fallout 4 got criticized for the most, and they do it right here, is that they're taking a more skill-based approach to dialogue, just like New Vegas did.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it more of an RPG. But the skill system is still pretty much the same. It's all called a little bit different. It looks a little bit different, but it's still pretty much the same.
Cool. Awesome.
Locke, I know that a lot of developers a lot of mod developers just do mods for the love of doing it. And obviously there's, a lot of them set up Patreons and stuff, but there's definitely a legal risk to charging people for it.
Sure.
But this is like, there's been a lot of mods out in the day over the years. This is a pretty substantial size one and pretty transformative as well.
Yeah.
What's the incentive for the developers other than the love of doing it? The hope of a future job? Like they're not really making money on it, obviously.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, the same thing happened with Skyrim? Somebody made, a team made a mod for it called Endero. I don't know if you guys remember. And Endero was a great mod. Same thing that happened here, like a total conversion mod for Skyrim. And eventually that got its own Steam page with its own achievements, and it was still free to play. But Bethesda did notice it and did try to support it as much as they could. So I'm guessing the same thing should at least happen here. I don't think that's going to happen because Bethesda is now owned by Microsoft, and I don't know how they will handle it. But Bethesda could have shut this down, and they didn't. So that already tells you that they're pretty much in support of it. They did do one thing that ruined the first launch of the game because it was supposed to launch in April.
With the next gen.
Yeah, Bethesda launched the next gen update back then. Which this game, if you want to play it, you have to downgrade your version because it doesn't work with the next gen version. It only works with the original version of Fallout 4. But no, they did it out of love for the game, which is why it's so good, I think. It's great. There's another total conversion Fallout mod coming called Fallout Miami, I think, which is coming, I think, next year at some point, which also looks great. So I mean, they've been working on it for 5 years, which is a very long time for a mod team, and to actually finish it, because there's a ton of mods like Sky Oblivion, for instance, which have been in development forever, and we've never seen the end result. Hopefully, we'll get the result for that too. But to actually finish it and deliver it in a state that it's playable, there's of course still bugs because it's a Bethesda game in quotation marks. But yeah, I'm in awe. It's such a great game, such a great effort by them. I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they stay together and try to make something new, I guess. It's immaculate. If you like Fallout 4 and if you have a PC that runs Fallout 4, just try it, man. It's so good. So good.
I've been itching to check it out.
Yeah.
Tapman to the rescue, wrote in, howdy Brad's bad boys. I've really enjoyed what I've played of Fallout London, but I feel like that's mostly because I've been hungry for another entry in the franchise. It's impressive what the group has been able to accomplish. The map is beautiful, but there are so many odd design decisions that really sour the experience for me. I don't want to discourage modders, but I would like to discourage the overhyping of these projects. I saw so many people finally figuring out how to install it, only to be severely disappointed in the end. Locke, what do you think some of these odd design decisions are?
I honestly don't get I get what he means by not overhyping it, because it is a mod and there's a lot wrong with it. Like, I got it to work because I'm proficient with PCs, for instance. But I remember Maddie. I had to walk Maddie through a couple of workouts. What's the name?
Workarounds.
Workarounds. Yeah. not workouts. Definitely Maddie, maybe, but not me. To get it to work for him. So I get what he's saying there. In case of overhyping, it's a Bethesda game. So if you expect anything more than a Bethesda game, yeah, you're probably gonna end up disappointed. If you expect a mod if you expect a mod, then it exceeds your expectation. It's all what you expect. What I expected from this mod was basically a mod and playing it for 2 hours, and then, oh, cool, now I want to play Fallout 4. And the opposite happened with me. Like, I thought it was great. I think maybe what he also means is that it's very slow paced. Like, like I said, you have no guns at the beginning. Like, at the beginning, you basically get dropped in London and then go ahead, do what you want to do. You have amnesia, go find out. So maybe that's a turnoff for a lot of people. To me, I love it when games don't tell me what to do, and let me figure it out myself. So I get where he's coming from, and I also don't want to overhype it myself because it's definitely not a perfect game. But I think the only people who've played it so far are people who play with mods. That's why I'm hoping at some point that it might get a console release. I don't know how they're going to do that. It's probably impossible, or their own Steam page. That would be amazing. But if you do know how to mod, just give it a chance. I think you won't be disappointed.
Robbie Cooper wrote in, hello guys. So I see Locke has been playing Fallout London. I don't have a PC, but I've watched Oxhorn play it and it looks really good. What are your initial thoughts on the game? With dedicated fans making stuff like this and Fallout Miami, why doesn't Bethesda pay them to make a Fallout New Vegas type experience and sell it? I would certainly buy it. Thanks as always, Robbie.
Well, Todd Howard explained this in his great interview with Maddie, where he said, and that really struck a chord with me because he's so right. He said the reason they're not doing that, or the reason they're not giving Fallout to somebody else, is because they want people to miss it. He explained it that they want people to like miss Fallout, and then when Fallout 5 comes around, people are like hyped them for it and they want to play more. So they don't exhaust the IP, which is a very valid point, I think.
I think that is true also, except that 76 exists.
Yeah.
And it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, but 76 is like a different game.
It's
at
different,
least to me,
I suppose, yeah. I just think they're slow. That's all. And they're very protective. They want to do everything themselves, I feel like, which I can understand. They don't want to share the IP.
No, yeah. Well, you saw what happened last time. I think a lot of it is bogus, of course, with like the rivalry between Obsidian and Bethesda. But I think there is something to it, possibly, because New Vegas is so well received, and then Fallout 4, in retrospect, isn't well received, even though, like Ben said at the time, it was amazing and everybody loved it. So maybe there is something there. But yeah, Bethesda is Bethesda, and Bethesda does what Bethesda does.
Yeah.
They're like they'll never change for good and for worse.
Yeah, cool. Well, it sounds like a very impressive mod. To me, like when I hear mod, I never expect the quality even close to a main entry. I don't know if people are expecting Fallout London to be spiritual successor to 5, like spiritual successor to 4 or something like that. It's like, to me, it's like, no, it's just a mod made by fans, But it sounds like it's really good, like a really good mod. So
it's more than it is a mod, but it's more than a mod. Like it's not Fallout 5, of course, but it's Fallout 4B, I'd say. It's if you're interested, really, just give it a go.
That's high praise, dude. That's awesome. Did you get a cricket bat in the game?
No spoilers.
Like Shaun of the Dead. Cool. Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
One day, Locke, I'll play London or New Vegas one day.
Well, yeah, but you didn't like 4, you said earlier, right?
I just didn't really like the story.
Okay.
I was just like, I liked 3, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. At the time, I wasn't really feeling 4. Then again, like it could have been. Did it come out before The Witcher or after The Witcher?
Before. It came out in May, and Witcher was after. Sorry, after.
Witcher was in after. May. That could be a problem. That could be a reason why I didn't enjoy it as much. Yeah, because I was just like, wow, Witcher was so much better.
It blew it out of the water.
Yeah, I should revisit 4 someday, but I need to play New Vegas first.
Definitely,
so people stop bothering me to play it. I'll play it, goddammit. Okay. Let's talk about what I've been playing. Well, I finished this yesterday. I finally finished Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So when this came out, I played some of it, and I hit a roadblock in the game where the pacing, in my opinion, just kind of fucking crashes and burns for like a couple hours.
Chapter 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this happened to Dustin as well, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And some other people. But Micah finished the game actually too. But I was like, I have a bunch of unfinished games this year, which is unlike me. So I was like, I'm going to start finishing a lot of these games, go back, finish the fight like Master Chief. So I did go back and finish the fight. And I'm happy I did because the game definitely got a lot better after that part. Just that one chapter, I don't really enjoy that much. But Paper Mario: Thousand Door is a great RPG that I've heard so much about throughout the years. I don't think it's one of the all-time greats, like a lot of people hail it as. I think it's very good though, and I can see why people really like it, and I really liked it a lot, particularly because it has a very unique feel to it, I guess. I haven't played a lot of Paper Mario games, but the writing definitely stands out as being when it's more unique. It's very playful, very sassy, but it kind of works in a weird way, not in an annoying way where I roll my eyes at everything like I did in Borderlands, but I'm just like, like cute little things like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's been great. I really liked the cast of characters in this game. There's actually like a lot of party members in the game. So if anyone doesn't know, you play as Mario, of course, but you get a bunch of party members throughout the game like you would in any RPG. And like the first one you start with this little like Goomba. Her name's Goombella. I think she's like an archaeologist or something like that. It's been a hot minute since I got the introduction of her, but she was very cool. Later on, you get a little Koopa Troopa. His name is Koops. He like wants to get strong and everything like that. He looks like a beat up Koopa Troopa. It's funny. You get a Boo lady. Her name's Madame Flurry. She's like a ghost, but she was an actor. You get a Yoshi later on that you can name him. Guess what I named him, Locke?
Yoshi.
No, close, but no. One more guess, Locke.
Oh, damn.
What do I like? What do I love? Stuff I love.
Bad stuff. Weep. Stupid.
Close. Sora.
Japan.
Sora. Close enough. My little Yoshi Sora. He was great. He has like a little attitude, but he's really fun. And what's cool about these party members is, of course, they have all their own unique moves in combat, but they also have like a unique ability that you use throughout the game, like traversal and stuff like that. So, for instance, like Koops, you can kick his shell to get items that are too far away from you to normally grab, stuff like that, or to hit switches that you can't hit. Madame Flurry has like this, she can like blow wind, and like there's like everything is like a paper texture to it, essentially. So you could like blow some paper away that like looks really cool. The Yoshi, you can ride on, and he runs a lot faster, and you could get over some gaps with his little Yoshi kicks in the air where they go and do those little kicks and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed all that. The game's divided up into chapters, which is nice because I liked to do a chapter a day. That was like my nice little checkpoint, and I would keep it paced out. But you go to a lot of cool places. It starts off more basic stuff you kind of expect, like Mushroom Kingdom-esque kind of locations. But there's a really cool forest you go to early on that's like glowing. Everything's like a weird neon color. Also, there's these little Pikmin guys that are there in the village, and you work with them. There's a ghost world, a bunch of spooky guys in it. There's a cool pirate one where you go to get shipwrecked on an island with this little like bomb guy. He becomes your partner. He's like a little bomb, and you can throw him to blow shit up. Really fun, really cute, charming stuff like that. What's interesting is you level up in this game, of course, but like any RPG, most RPGs, but you level up and you have to choose from 3 stats. One is either more health, more FP, which is like your MP to do special attacks. And the other is your badge points. Badges are these points to equip more badges. And badges essentially are buffs for your character. Like they're basic things like, hey, you'll do one more damage or something like that. Then other ones are like, hey, you got this badge, so now you can jump on enemies that have spikes that would usually hurt you. In my opinion, the badges are super good, and it's better to invest in badges later, or more so than the other 2 stats, because you just get a bunch of good buffs later on. So, but it's fun because you get to certain bosses. I'm like, all right, let me change out my badges to maybe help me get through this boss and have a different kind of build. Like you can make builds focused around jumping and stuff like that. So I appreciate all that stuff. A good length too. It took me like 30 hours, I think, to beat everything. I didn't do everything in the game. There's like side quests you can do and stuff like that, but I think it's probably like a 30 to 40 hour game. So a good length for an RPG, not too long, but long enough so you can get invested and everything like that. But yeah, there's a really cool hub town you go to called Rogueport. Very surprisingly, in the middle of the town, there's a gallows with a noose hanging there. I'm like, oh, that's very un-Mario like in this game, but it's got like a little edge to it in some of that regards. One of the chapters you go through is like a train mystery, and you just solving mysteries on this train, which I thought was pretty interesting and different. But that's cool. It was just a great game overall. I really enjoyed it. Not difficult at all, I would say, but it's a Mario game, but it's still really fun, really charming. I had a good time. But there are some pacing issues. Some stuff does drag. There's a lot of back and forth and backtracking sometimes where I'm just like, oh, go here, go from point A to point B, then go back to point A, from go to B to point A, then go back to point B. It's just like back and forth, sometimes too much. That feels like they kind of stretch some stuff out, especially later on in the game. You have to find this character and you have to go back through every world. And I'm just like getting annoyed at it. But overall, I think it's a really great game. I'm really happy I finished it. I know people love this game, and I could see why. So, yeah.
Can I ask? Because
Yes.
I don't know this game. What is it? Is it? It's a Mario game. So
yeah, it's a Mario turn-based RPG.
Oh,
yeah.
How does it, like XCOM or like Mario
it's like more like Japanese style. You run around. There's an enemy on the map. You can bonk them to start combat early. You just take turns switching off. Everything takes place like on a stage, like combat does, and there's people in the audience. And sometimes the audience interferes, but you could stop them. Like if you're not paying attention, they could throw a rock at you or something like that and take extra damage, but you can interrupt it. And that's cool. It's cool, but I kind of wish they did more with it. It felt very basic, I felt like, and I just kind of forgot about it most of the time. And I was like, I wish they did a little more with that. But once in a while, you do an attack in like an area, and like a part of the background or the set would fall on you or the enemy and stuff like that, or like a light would fall on someone and daze them or something like that. So there's a couple of things like that, but I wish they did a little more with it. But yeah.
Brad, did you play the original?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Right. This was my first time playing it. Yeah. The original ran in 60 frames per second, and this one runs in 30. And I remember just being like, fuck, how did this happen? But it still looks really good. And of course, it's very playable and everything like that. It's a lot of fun. Oh, Locke, one cool thing is like there's button inputs in combat. You'll be pressing like certain buttons to like make commands more effective, like the jump command, you time it perfectly, you'll do more damage or you'll maybe get extra jumps. So
Oh, cool.
it keeps you a little engaged like that. It's not super mindless, I would say. So there's some fun little tweaks like that. But like Super Mario RPG had that on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, they had it.
So they kind of continue that.
Ago?
Yeah, they kind of continue that tradition. Yeah, this was an old GameCube game, so I don't know what the gap between them was, but I could see it. Like, I personally like Super Mario RPG better still, maybe just because I played it first and I like the characters in it more, and it's a little tighter, I think, but this is still a great game. I think it's definitely worth playing. There are some slowdowns, you just got to get over those humps if you can do it. Let's see, Ben Fairbanks wrote in, greetings, BBL. Brad, it warms my heart to know you're playing The 1,000-Year Door. This game is my entire childhood nostalgia, and I put it up there as one of my favorite games. But playing this remake made me come to terms with its flaws, such as its tiresome but smart dialogue, constant backtracking, and battles that start to become more of a grind the farther you get. My question to you is, can you appreciate the faithfulness of this remake, or do you wish they made some more dramatic changes with the goal of a better game? Love the show, and a big keep it up to you all at LSM. I'm kind of happy that it's so similar to the original, just because I never played the original, so I got to like experience it in a lot of ways. Maybe they could have made a few cuts to make things a little more flow better, I guess, but I don't know. It's hard to say if that would have turned out better in the end. I think it was just smart to stick to some. I feel like if they changed stuff from this game, people love this game so much that people would have maybe got upset about it. I don't really know. And they know this is such a beloved game. They just kind of don't want to mess with it. So I don't know. I'm kind of glad they just kept it the same. So I got to experience what it was really like.
I like how you're optimistic about why they didn't change it, whereas I'm pessimistic. I'm like, because it's Nintendo, they just did the thing that was easiest.
I mean, that's also true. It could just be Nintendo just being Nintendo.
Yeah.
So you never know. This is from Loom Doom. What's up, Summoners? I am currently playing Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door as well. I played this game on GameCube as a kid, and I have very fond memories of it. So I was excited to revisit it when the Switch version. I just got to the 7th Crystal Star, and I'm very much enjoying the game. However, in my mind, this game was exalted to an insane degree because of my childhood experiences with it. It's one of the first RPGs I played, and it blew my mind as a kid. I still think the game is very good, but it definitely does not live up to my memories of it being an amazing RPG. This game will still hold a special place in my heart, but I can't help but being a bit let down by realizing this wasn't an incredible game, or it wasn't as the incredible game as I remember. I wonder if any of you have had similar experiences of revisiting a beloved childhood game, but realizing it wasn't as great as you remember it. Cheers. Revisiting a beloved childhood game that's not as great as I remember. No, because I only like good games.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Thinking about Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
I had the exact opposite. I mean, I'm just thinking about that because we're talking about Paper Mario here. But when I went back and played the remake, after having loved the original as a kid, and I played it more recently too, I was like, wow, this game is actually phenomenal.
Right.
But one that was a disappointment for me, and I don't know if this is a weird one or not, is Gex.
Gex.
Remember Gex?
Oh. Yeah, I sure do.
I played Gex again, I don't know, probably 5 years ago now, and I was like, this game sucks. I mean,
Gex 1?
There's parts of the original Gex. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I replayed. I played 1 and 2 as a kid, but I just remember thinking, like, this game doesn't control very well. Like, it was still funny, and it was still, funny for the time, and it was still...
Yeah, it's very... I remember some of the stuff. I'm like, oh, this would not fly today.
No. But Gex is just one of those games where I loved that game as a kid, and then I played it as an adult. And first of all, I was like, oh, that's what that means. I've had this line in my head for years and never really realized what it meant. And then I was just like, maybe it's just PS1 era, but it just felt like it controlled so poorly. Yeah.
Damn. What about you, Locke? Can you think of anything?
No, not really. But that's not because of the game. It's because of like I was gonna say GTA 3, but that's not the game's fault. That's just because time has passed and the mechanics are just better now. Because I remember when that GTA collection came out, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I was so hyped for it. So I started up GTA 3, and after an hour, I was like, oh, this is not great. But that's not back then it was revolutionary. So that's not the game's fault. So no, my answer is no.
Yeah, I guess, when I was younger, like on NES, I played a game and I thought they were good games, but like now that I like look back, I'm like, oh yeah, these suck. Or they don't suck, but they're not as good as I thought they were. Like, everyone remembers the Ninja Turtles game. That's not a bad game or anything like that, but I remember just being like, this game's so sick at the time, the first Ninja Turtles game, but like that's because I was very young and Ninja Turtles were hot at the time. And it's still a decent game, but it's got problems and stuff like that. I think back to Shadows of the Empire, that might be one that I'm like, dude, this game is the fucking shit. And it's probably like pretty rough nowadays in a lot of ways. Just like, I don't know. I don't know, man. All right, boys. It's time for Sort It Out. Whoop. Hit that timestamp for Ben. On this segment, we just talk about something that's bothering us in the game industry. Could be a company, game, human being. Perhaps if you want to get real personal. Ben, let's start with you. Do you got anything that needs sorting out this week?
I got to sort it out. I'm tired of people making my Twitter experience unusable. And I'm speaking specifically with game spoilers. And the thing that made me think about this more so is that with the House of the Dragon season ending and with Deadpool and Wolverine, which I want to see but still haven't got to see yet.
Oh, it's so
every
good.
time I go on Twitter, it's like people just posting clips already, like an hour after it comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting there watching the clips, but like the thing that pops up on my screen and starts auto playing before I can scroll past it is like half the movie. I swear I've seen half of Deadpool Wolverine at this point by accident. And that happens so much with games too. And I mean, I know sometimes people intentionally spoil games because they're mad at their mom or something. I don't know. But that's been happening with games too. But really, I mean, this is a gaming sorted out, but it's really focused on film and television. I mean, I have had IGN muted since the last season of Game of Thrones because they were live tweeting the season finale. And I couldn't even, like, before I could even get home to watch it.
Right.
And this is worse because it's like with at least with like text spoilers, you can hopefully just quit reading and quickly scroll past it. You see an image, you see it. That's just all it is. So I'm sick of this shit. Stop it. Your clicks. How much? If you got Twitter Blue, how much you making? Like 10 cents per million views or something?
Yeah.
It's not worth it, guys. You're destroying my experience on the platform.
You gotta unfollow all those people.
I mute them. As soon as I see something like that, I usually mute them or say I'm not interested in this or whatever. It's not. A lot of times it's like popping up in my For You, which I try not, like, especially last night, I was like, I'm not going on For You at all until I get to watch House of the Dragon. And then I was on my like following page and I was like, somebody retweeted, this scene was awesome. And I was like, screw you, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah, man. When something big comes out that I'm excited for, I like really try to avoid everything because I just know people are just going to post shit right away because that's just the way it is. But it is annoying.
And now that video is so big on Twitter, specifically Twitter, I'm really singling out here because I don't really use any other social media except for Twitter and Discord from time to time. But now that video is so big, it's all my muted words. Like I'll go, a new movie's coming out. I don't want to get spoilers. I'll go in and mute everything I can think of. It doesn't matter if they just post a video and say this scene was crazy. It doesn't pick up on any of the filters. Screw you guys.
Or an image,
yeah, just an image, yeah.
Having said that, you should go see Deadpool and Wolverine. It's amazing, fucking awesome.
I want to. My wife part of it is my wife wants to see it too. So like finding a time where we can both go, take care of the kids, whatever. That's a whole thing. But maybe I'll sneak out some night.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like it's made for people our age. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
No. Moving on.
Okay. All right. No spoilers. I haven't seen it either. Lockmore, anything for you this week?
Well, it's a stupid personal one because I don't think this is an actual problem for most people, but it is for me. And I've had Call of Duty or Activision or Xbox or whatever, because I have no idea what is going on with Call of Duty. There's so much noise constantly about it everywhere. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know. Do I have to pay for it? Is it on Game Pass now?
It's on Game Pass.
Where, when, who, how, what? All I see is like constant skins everywhere, and then Homelander is in it now. And then I'm like, oh, is it out, or is that in the previous one? Or there's like constant noise and constant talking about Call of Duty. Again, that's my fault. That's not the game's fault. But I know it's the new Black Ops is coming out, but I don't know when. I don't know how I can play it because there's like different tiers now, right? So
right,
do I have to buy like Ultimate on Game Pass to play the multiplayer, or I can just
on PC? You can just do the PC Game Pass lock, and you'll get it on there. Like if you're on console only, you're gonna have to pay more than PC. So you're fine because you'll play on PC, I assume.
Yeah, definitely.
But the Game Pass tiers are confusing. They're changing. Yeah,
well, it's not just that. I know every year, or at least maybe that's my perception. Maybe I'm completely wrong. You guys can tell me, of course. But usually I watch like a trailer for the campaign of the new Call of Duty, and then the date, and then oh cool, I'll play Call of Duty then. And now I have no idea when or I could already be out or could launch next week. I have no idea.
I agree with that. It is very noisy, and I think a lot of that right now is because, well, one, the constant console wars, but two, with them putting last year's Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Oh, that's
now
what
so close to the next Call of Duty. I think that's clouding up a lot of the messaging. And they changed the tiers. And for us, if we're just playing on PC Game Pass, it's whatever. But if you're a console player, it's definitely confusing, I think, to know what tier do I need to be at to play. I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know, Locke. I don't really pay attention to Call of Duty either. Like, I just don't. I think it's coming in like October, I want to say. It's usually around October or November, I think it comes out. But yeah, there's a bunch. It's confusing because I'm like, oh, Homeland. I'm like, oh, that must be Warzone. But then I'm like, oh, maybe it's not Warzone. I don't know. Maybe it's whatever, Modern Warfare 3. I don't know. I don't really pay attention, so I don't really know.
Well, this year you're gonna have to pay attention.
I'll play it on Game Pass for like a month. Yeah. Hopefully I could play it for like a week or two with you guys and cancel it, and they'll give me my money back again. Yeah. So keep that up, Phil.
Because we'll do the same thing we did last year, right, Ben? Like Dustin already talked to Jeffy about it. Last year we did like an LSM versus whatever Jeffy's people are called, lunatics, whatever.
Gremlins.
Gremlins, yeah. Which was really fun, right, Ben? That was super fun. So we'll do that again around Christmas this year.
I haven't heard anything with Jeffy, but yeah, I'm in. We had a good time kicking his ass last time.
Yeah, we won. Yeah.
I guess my sorted out this week is for GameStop. So they closed Game Informer, which honestly I'm kind of surprised Game Informer lasted as long as it did. Not that they did bad work or anything like that. It's just print media is just dying just slowly, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Because I know a lot of people love and have great memories with it, and it's sad because they were around for like 33 years. So that's a total bummer. Man, I wish when companies laid people off, it was like, I hope they got like some sort of like pay after that or something like that. They're getting paid for a while. I hope, even though hopefully it just wasn't cut off immediately. The money probably was just the way now things are. But GameStop in general, because they're just shitty game stores.
Yeah.
Like I've been into GameStops kind of recently, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? It was like a toy store just full of Funko Pops and like weird knickknacks and shit like stuffed animals. I'm like, that's fine, but like, where are the fucking games? It's only like new games. There's like no retro games really. I think maybe the furthest they go back is like PS3. And it's just like, you guys should have like all retro games right going on right here. Why can't I buy PS1 games or stuff like that? Like retro game store, they're like the only game stores that are kind of being left now are retro stores because people will still buy a lot of retro games. It's just like, why? I wish you guys actually had this kind of shit. And every time I go in there, they try to get me to pre-order some shit or treat me like I'm some idiot that doesn't know anything about video games. It's like, fuck you, man. I'm on the internet, bitch. So leave me alone.
I think they are starting to do a little more retro stuff, or at least they were trying to. But what I heard from a couple friends is that when you go in there and try to sell them a retro game, let's say a game's worth, I don't know, $60, they're trying to give you $5 for it or something. Oh, this is an old junky Super Nintendo game. You don't want this.
Oh yeah, they're really trying to. Yeah,
and I don't necessarily blame the employees. Obviously, they're just doing what they're allowed.
They're
to
doing
say.
what they're told. Yeah,
yeah, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work out for them. Yeah.
No, and it's not. They're dying. They're bleeding out. So I don't even know how long they got left, but whatever, dude. They used to be much better back in the day. I felt like 10, 15 years ago, but nowadays they're just shit. Just a bad store. All right. This is from Embers Arcade. Can we get it sorted out to the legacy media in the games industry? How is it possible that an outfit with as much recognition and outreach potential as Game Informer cannot survive as a source of gaming punditry? Punditry. I don't read that word very often. Yeah. How could they possibly let their own potential slip through their fingers? It's frustrating, particularly because Game Informer's history particularly because their history in the industry sorted out. So I think a lot of Game Informer, I don't think it's the employees or anything like that. I don't think it's anything but their fault, probably. I'm going to assume, like many things, it's management, and they don't know what they're fucking doing. I'm sure everyone at Game Informer did great work. I've seen some of their stuff. They do some videos that I check out every now and then. I didn't read their magazine or anything like that or check their news, but a lot of people really like them. So, you can see it there when they were getting... Now that they're gone, a lot of people are very upset, so they must have did something good. So I'm going to assume it's management, like most things. They just don't know what they're fucking doing.
I know they had shifted a little more towards online stuff. Of course, they still had the print magazine. I think they even started like a subscription service where you could get them without having to go to GameStop, to get it recently. Yeah. And I'm kind of talking out of my ass because I haven't read a magazine, let alone Game Informer, in probably 15 years. And that's, that sucks, but that's just the way it is for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I assume they just weren't making money, but I think their staff was already, they got some serious cuts a year or two ago.
Yeah, they did.
And I want to say their staff was 20, 30 people.
It's probably pretty lean.
Oh, wow.
It's gotta be, how can you not be making any kind of profit off of a team that small with maybe their magazine distribution just wasn't as big as I thought it was.
Right.
Which sucks because even though I'm part of the problem, I do love print media. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's because I work for a company that talks about games, so I don't really need another source. But the average person, I would think, wants that.
I think it's really cool, but it's nowadays with the internet, you just get everything instantaneous or instant, I should say. So it's like
Deadpool spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like back in the day when I was waiting for a magazine, I can get stuff that I can't really get anywhere else, where I'd finally learn about something. But now at times, everything kind of comes out immediately on the internet. I still think it's cool, and I know people love reading magazines, and I respect the hell out of it. But it's just going away.
Yeah,
sadly, and everything like news, all that's print media is just kind of going away, except maybe books. People still seem to like buying books.
Of course, yeah.
Shout out to oh man, I shouldn't have even said anything. I'm gonna butcher the name now. What's his name? I feel terrible. There's a dude that makes the magazines. He made Vitamins Life. Too Old for Gaming is his Twitter handle.
Right, yeah. Call him Strings of the Sky, right?
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit. RPM, Retro PlayStation Magazines.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have some sort of nostalgia, these are mostly geared towards PlayStation. He does Kickstarters for them, I think a couple times a year. I think he's on, I don't even know what issue. It's getting up there, quite a few issues now. And it's not your monthly periodical magazine that you're reading, but if you want some print media that's done by cool people who are doing it through crowdfunding, check it out. Yeah, RPM
that
magazine
seems to be the future for print media and a lot of stuff like that. Enthusiast backing. Right. Seems like it.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Nick. How do you say this? Simroy Nodius, I guess is how you'd say that. Lads, sorted out to shed works in the PS5 version of Sable. Beautiful game ruined by piss poor performance. I could tolerate sub 30 FPS, but at least make sure you don't have a broken game mechanics like the fishing function, 2 years after your game's release. I know it's a small team, but come on. Damn, that sucks, dude. Yeah, because once you're 2 years out, they're never going to fix it, dude.
Right.
It's been way too long.
Yeah.
Brutal. No. Sable, interesting game. I remember that game had like a really interesting frame rate, deliberately interesting frame rate. Did you ever play it, Locke?
No, but it looked cool. It was like the art style really drew me in. It was like special, right? Like hand drawn.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about hand. It had like a cell shade look, I guess, to it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it looked really cool. But no, I never played it. No, but it looked cool.
Okay.
Did you play it?
Just briefly. I didn't play through it or anything like that. Just fucked around with it a little. All right. Time for Keep It Up, boys. The exact opposite. Stuff we're pleased with. Lockhart, who are you pleased with?
I have two of them, but they're two very short ones. And the first one is Larian. Larian, the developers of Baldur's Gate 3. Because they did an interview earlier this week with PC Magazine, or PC Gamer, sorry, where they basically said that they got offered to do Baldur's Gate 4, but they declined because they didn't want to do it anymore. They wanted to do something different, something new, something exciting. And they had a cool idea for Baldur's Gate 4, is what Sven Vinky said. But they simply didn't want to, waste is a terrible word for it, but they didn't want to waste another 3 years making an easy game that they already made. So they said no, and they want to make something completely new, which is so commendable. Yeah, for a developer, especially a developer like them who had one big success story and they already want to move on to something new, which is really cool. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
of them.
Super awesome.
And the other one is Warhorse Studios, which is the developer of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because they just released today, I think, a slate for what they're presenting on Gamescom. And on August 20, they have a gameplay teaser, which is pretty cool. But then on August 21 until August 25th, they have 20 minutes of gameplay, press review, demos, hopefully a date. So I think it's really cool that a developer gives you so much attention as a gamer before release, which is really fun too, I think. So those two are I've loved those two before, but now they're really really amazing.
Cool. Ben, what about you?
I think this was one of my early On Summon Sign, 30 episodes ago or something. Keep It Ups. I'm gonna give another Keep It Up to Power Wash Simulator.
Aha! Yes, all reliable.
It's a meme for me that I love this game so much. But they just came out with recently, within the last couple of months, they came out with a new expansion, a paid DLC, and then within the last day or two, they came out with, or last week or so, I guess, came out with another free DLC. And these guys just keep pumping out content, and I don't know. I don't presume to know how this game is made, but I imagine that it's, coming out with new content for this game is not that difficult, other than maybe getting the IP to let them make something. But I don't know. I love Power Wash Simulator. It's so chill. It's got some forms of progression in the base campaign. It's got challenge modes. It's got a lot of cool tie-ins, everything. I think I've got 110 hours in Power Wash Simulator over the last year and a half, 2 years.
That's so much.
I want to say, I almost said my 2022 game of the year was Power Wash Simulator, because honestly, it probably could have been. But, yeah. But just keep it up. Honestly, there's so much. I think the game is $20 right now. The game has so much content, and then there's 3 or 4 free DLCs, maybe 5 free DLCs that you don't have to pay anything extra for, and then the ones you do get are usually tied in with an IP, like SpongeBob or Warhammer,
Final Fantasy 7. Yeah.
And they're a few bucks, $7-8, something like that. But that's still all of their expansions are still an hour minimum of extra gameplay, and that's the free ones. And I don't know. I have all of them. I have 100% of it. Every time a new one drops, I hop in and 100% it, finish it up. I like this game, man. It's satisfying, but it's also clever at the same time. Yeah.
Nice. Totally. My Keep It Up, I guess, is in general is demos continuing to come out. Visions of Mana demo came out. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to play the game when it comes out. But I am so happy to see, especially Square's been doing demos for a long time, or past couple of years, consistently with a lot of their games. And I'm just such a big fan of that shit. I love that kind of stuff. I think it's great. I wish more developers would do that. How cool it'd be if more first-party developers did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like Xbox or whatever. Like, here's a demo of Avowed or some shit like that. I think that'd be so cool, you know?
Yeah.
Because they make demos for show floors and everything like that. I wish you could get those out to the public. I'm sure it might be a nightmare to do that. And they're worried about, you know, maybe if the demo is not in great shape or whatever, people will be harsh on it. So it's a risk. It's definitely a risk, but I just love when developers do that. So shout out to all those developers that put out demos still.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
All right, this is from Nevitz. Hey, gents, keep it up to the elementary school students not being corrupted by the latest graphics. I asked my classroom which designs they liked between different versions of the video game characters. Most of the students said they liked the old school blocky graphics better. They think they are cool and harder to create. I'm glad these large companies have not made kids hate pixel graphics. You know what, Nevitz? I think you can thank that to Minecraft in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And probably Roblox now.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of the young kids probably love that shit. I don't know if they might like some of the older looking games. You know, they look at Mario Sprite or maybe look at Shovel Knight and they're like, oh, that looks cool. But I think a lot of it has to do with like Minecraft and stuff, which is totally fine. Because I like simplistic graphics. I think they could be awesome too.
Sure, yeah.
So I guess that is cool. Like, I like really great graphics too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with liking that. Like, hyper realistic graphics are really, like, The Last of Us is extremely impressive to look at. And I think it's very cool. And I think games have a place for that too. But I'm glad it's not like the be all end all for games. I definitely don't want games to only be a graphics race. So
yeah,
I'm glad there's so much room for just so many different types of games. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is from Brian Borlaug. Hey, boys, I got to keep it up. Keep it up, indie devs who launch their games with a discount. Nothing gets me to impulse something I'm on the fence about more than a sweet 10 to 15% off your game at launch. That is true. I do see that every now and then.
Yeah.
Like on PlayStation or something, or on Steam, you know, it's like 15% off, or Xbox. It's great, dude. I love that kind of shit. You're totally right, Brian. That is great shit.
You could thank Steam for a lot of that. You know, just being on the developer side, I see the back end, and when you're going to publish a new game, they like encourage you to do that, and then they'll even show you metrics of like, you know, games priced at this with a 10% discount will normally receive this amount of sales in the first week, and then get this many review, and you know, it just kind of breaks that stuff down. And I think I don't want to pretend like I know who was the first one to start introducing, you know, release day discounts, release period discounts was, but I know Steam is definitely the one that popularized it, and first PlayStation and Microsoft and Nintendo have all followed suit. So yeah, absolutely, it's big for developers too when you buy their game right off the rip, because it gets you, you know, it starts getting people in the algorithm, it gets you early reviews, that kind of stuff. So like, you're very much incentivized to do that.
Yeah, totally. Man, I love Steam. Great platform. Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Gabe.
I forgot.
You're rich beyond measure for the
rest he is
of
filthy rich. No problem. Because they're a private company too. They don't have to deal with shareholders or anything like that, which is great.
Yeah.
I forgot the number, but they recently had like numbers come out for how many Valve employees they have, and it's just like shockingly low and how efficient and great they're.
200, right? 200 total?
Something like that.
Right? They're a little more than that, I think, at last count. But we saw like the total numbers for how much each department gets paid too. And if you break it down, you're like, I didn't really want to work at Valve, but now I kind of do. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah. I wonder when that shooter, that third person shooter's coming out that got leaked from them.
Yeah.
Deadlock? The hero shooter?
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the new Overwatch, or at least I hope so.
They were like on like the rails, like sliding around like what is it, BioShock Infinite, kind of like that. Yeah. Seems cool. New Valve game. Let's go, dude. Not Half-Life 3, but a new Valve game. So keep on waiting. At least Half-Life Alyx was good. So there's that at least.
Amazing. Yeah.
Always got that at least. Okay, next game. Dragon Age Inquisition. Lockmort, you've been a busy man with game.
been a very busy man. Yeah. Over the past month, I was working, well, it's basically done this week. I've been working on like this big video about Dragon Age 2 because that's like a forgotten game. I think a lot of people know Origins, a lot of people know Inquisition. So I was working on a video about Dragon Age 2. But then it became way bigger. It became about BioWare as a whole and Dragon Age 1 and partially Dragon Age Inquisition. So to prepare for that video, I first played Dragon Age Origins a few weeks back, which is like a 60, 70, 80-hour game. Then I played Dragon Age 2, which is shorter, it's like 30, 40 hours. And then that was done. And then I started working on my video. I talked to you guys about it, I think, over the past month, how much work it was. It's ready. It will go up this week. I think this will go up. This someone said it's Tuesday, right?
Yes. I don't screw it up. Yeah.
Yes.
You won't. So Tuesday. So it should be up by either Thursday or Friday. I think Friday. But then when I was done with that video, I figured, well, I played Dragon Age Origins. I played Dragon Age 2. I might as well replay Inquisition now and just get the trilogy out of the way before the Veilguard gets here, right? So last week, I started Dragon Age Inquisition for the first time since 2014, which was when I last played it. And I remember the first time when I played Inquisition. Have any of you two played it, or Origins or DA2?
I've played like 2 hours. I've played Origins and 2.
Okay, because Dragon Age Inquisition got a pretty bad rep over the years, right? Like people say it's like pretty boring. It's like an open world RP or an open world MMO is like the most heft criticism it gets. So I figured, well, I just want to try it again, see if I like it more this time. Because I remember the first time when I played it in 2014, I kind of felt the same way. I was kind of disappointed because I love Origins and I love Dragon Age 2. So Dragon Age Inquisition has a very cool premise. It starts with a conclave between the mages and the Templars because there's a war going on. The mages have rebelled and the Templars need to get them under control, of course. So it starts with a conclave between mages and Templars, and your character is there too. And then the conclave blows up and a lot of people die. And suddenly there appears a rift in the sky, and your character is the only one who can close the rift. That's basically the premise of the story, which is pretty cool, I think. It's pretty original. So when you start the game, you have 3 options, like always. Mage, Rogue, Warrior, right? Those are the 3 classes. You can expand upon it later. You can make like a magical archer or like a berserker. Those 3 classes are just at the start, right? So your character can close the rift. He does. And then you become the Inquisitor or the Inquisition. You basically become the head of the Inquisition. The Inquisition is a new faction, or a really old faction in the world of Dragon Age. And there's this villain who's very badly developed called Corypheus. I don't want to give his backstory because that's kind of the fun of the game, is like kind of figuring out where he's from. But let's just say he wants to take over the world, like standard villain stuff. So your job as the Inquisition, as the Inquisitor and the head of the Inquisition, is basically gathering allies to stand up against him, which again is a really cool premise, I think. Kind of the same premise as Dragon Age 1, where you had to rise or rail up the races and work together to stop the Blight. The cool thing in Dragon Age Inquisition is that there's a bunch of choices you get from the get-go as soon as the Inquisition really starts. So like I said before, you have the mages and the Templars, so you have to pick one of them. Which one will you pick as your ally? Will you pick the mages? Will you pick the Templars? The ones you don't pick, go over to the villain. So he gets them. So if you pick the mages, you have a lot of magic. Templars, you have a lot of warriors. Pretty cool premise again. The only problem that Dragon Age Inquisition has is that the gameplay itself is open world, but it focuses on a lot of sandbox hubs. So you have a lot of maps, which is really cool, and a lot of diversity in the maps too, but they're so huge. Like everybody who's played Inquisition, or if you haven't played it, you've probably already read about this. One of the first maps you get to in the game is called the Hinterlands. And the Hinterlands is a huge map filled with dozens of points of interest, and it takes you a long time to get from one to the other. So there's just that's why the game is being called like a single player MMO. There's just too much nonsense on these maps. It's almost like a Ubisoft game in that regard, a bad Ubisoft game, not a good one. But the positive thing about Inquisition is that the companions and the story and the lore behind it, especially, is so interesting, so unique, so fun. One of the benefits the game had when it came out is that it came out before The Witcher 3, right? It came out a year before The Witcher 3. Had it come out afterwards, I think this game would have gotten a lot of flack, which it got afterwards, but not at launch, because it's even won Game of the Year. The problem with Inquisition is that there's a lot of dialogue in it, and a lot of the dialogue is like exposition. So when you click on someone to talk with them, you're there for like 10 minutes while they talk and talk and talk, and there's not really cool camera positions, there's not really cool conversations going on. No, you're just watching someone talk. Again, if you're into the lore, like I am now, especially now that I'm older and I've just replayed the first two games, really cool. I think if you come into Inquisition new, or if you haven't played the other games in the last couple of years, that might be a bit boring, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the feeling I got. The other cool thing about Inquisition are the companions. Of course, it's BioWare, so you got a lot of cool companions. Varric, who's back from Dragon Age 2. You got Cassandra, you got Iron Bull, you got Sarah. But the coolest one is the one who's going to be the villain in the next game, and that's Solus. In this game, he's one of your allies. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. He's one of your allies here. He's a mage, really cool backstory, really cool dimensions to every character. They're really well worked out, highly interesting, great stuff. The stuff BioWare excels in, right? In every single one of their games. Companions are amazing. The combat is a mix between Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. You might remember Dragon Age Origins was originally it was a CRPG, right? So you had a top-down camera on PC where you could rotate real time with pause. You could pause the action, let them do their thing, unpause, let them do their thing. On console, it was only in third person, right? So when they moved over to Dragon Age 2, they said, well, we're going to make it more console focused, no more tactical camera. It's going to be more flashy, more real time. So that was the combat in Dragon Age 2. And now in Inquisition, they kind of mix the two together. So you still have the tactical camera, or they put it back in, I should say. But the combat is also much more flashier and much more direct. You have a party of 4. You can pause the combat if you go up to the tactical camera. You can tell your companions what to do on pause. But you could also just pick one of the companions and play as them, or play as your main character himself during the combat. It's basically cooldown combat, like in most MMOs. Again, that's probably part of why it's being called a single-player MMO sometimes, because it's basically all cooldown focused, which works. It's fun. It's just nothing special, right? And that is, I think, the biggest problem of Inquisition, especially now, a decade later. Now that I'm playing it again, one, Dragon Age Origins is very distinct, has very distinct combat, a very distinct story. It's basically Lord of the Rings, right? Dragon Age 2, you're trapped in a city. That's where most of the story takes place. The combat is action focused, very dynamic, very fun. The city itself changes to the actions you take. Inquisition, a decade later, is still good. It's still a great RPG. You get your own stronghold to expand, which is really cool. But there's something wrong with it. There's something lacking. Like, I don't get that BioWare feeling that I usually get from those older games. It kind of reminded me of Mass Effect Andromeda. A better version, but it still had that same kind of feeling that something was wrong. And it's the same feeling I had with Andromeda. And I can't really pinpoint, maybe you guys can help me, because I can't really pinpoint where it is, what's wrong with it, because there's not really one thing wrong with it. There's a bunch of little things that add up to me that make it seem like this game could have been amazing. I remember back in 2014, or this DLC came out in 2015, I think, they released a Trespasser DLC, which was like the last DLC of Inquisition. And I remember that DLC was great because it wrapped up the story, it elevated the stakes for the sequel that we're finally getting now a decade later. But the problem is that this game really doesn't do that in the main game. Like, the main game, the villain is very simplistic, very one-note, one-dimensional. There's not really much to him. The stuff you're doing in the game, you're gathering allies, but there's not really any stakes to it. Like, like it was in Dragon Age Origins. Or like it was in The Witcher 3. Remember where you had to gather the allies there? That was amazing. So I think Dragon Age Inquisition is still a good game. I would maybe even call it a great game, but there is something wrong with it. There is something missing from it. And I don't know what it is or how to put a pin in that. But you guys haven't played it, so I guess you can't help me there.
No. Well, it just sounds like the DLC was better at presenting an engaging narrative, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, but it's because the DLC wraps it up, right? Like the DLC makes you very excited for Dragon Age 4, which we then had to...
I think that can be a problem when you beat the game, the base game, it doesn't feel finished necessarily. It feels like part one of the ending, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's a very good point, because one had a definite ending, of course. That was like one. Dragon Age Origins is like Lord of the Rings, like it's perfect, and then 2, not really like The Hobbit, but 2 is like different, like in a city or like doing other stuff. And this one, they tried to go back to Origins, like they tried to make it more Lord of the Rings again, higher stakes, but it doesn't really work. Like, I think my main issue, now that we're talking about it again, I think my main issue is the map and the power system. Because you have like a war table. That's like another mechanic in the game. You have a war table, and to accept quests on the war table, you need like a certain power level, right? And to raise your power level, you have to basically go into these hub areas and these hub mess and do quests there until your power level is high enough. And then you can undertake other quests again. So I think part of my issue is that they basically force you to do a lot of nonsense quests to get your power level high enough to do the other quests. And the maps look beautiful and the maps are great. But after a while, you start to see through the veil, like every game, once you see through the mechanics and you see what's behind it, you're starting to realize like, oh, this is how it works. And that kind of always breaks the game to me. But that doesn't mean the game is bad. Maybe it's also because I'm playing it for the second time that I'm not in love with it as much as I was before. Because it's still good. It's still great. I still know a lot of people who love it too. But there's just something, the feeling is off for me somehow.
Sure.
Which is annoying because I really wanted to love it. I'll finish it definitely because I made it 3 games in now. So I'll definitely finish it before 4 gets here, which I'm very excited for, by the way. I know that trailer was horrible. That first Vilgard trailer, which they released, was terrible. But the game itself, I have faith that it's going to be at least good. So yeah, Inquisition, good game, maybe great game, but there is something off with it.
Yeah. Just a little something, yeah. I don't know, yeah. BioWare, maybe at that time, kind of lost a little bit. That was like around Andromeda time, I think, or it was before Andromeda, right?
3 years before, yeah, 2014.
So just not a good time for that company, I guess. Like Andromeda kind of was the beginning of the end, I would say, of modern BioWare, what people think back to. Hopefully they'll come back, but then they had Anthem after that, which was not good, and just
disaster.
Just a lot of misses. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andromeda was made by a different team. That was made
by but it's still Austin. BioWare though, right?
Yeah, it's still BioWare, yeah. But this one,
it's just not the same team.
This one was made by Edmonton. So this one was made by the main team, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
So this one also had all the right people involved. Like that's why I think it's so weird. Because I did a lot of research for the video I'm making, and I did a lot of research on the people involved with these games. So I really thought I was going to love this one because it's all the right people are working on it. It's the right writers, the director is the right guy. It's all the right people. But somehow something doesn't work. And it's really strange for me because normally when I play something like this, I can immediately tell you, oh, that's the thing that's not good. But with this one, it's just, I don't know why. Yeah, it's something weird. Maybe because over the last decade, people soured on it. Maybe that's subconsciously fucks with my head or something, but yeah, I don't know.
Sure. It could be. Let's see. Badly Brave wrote in, "Hey, Locke, Dragon Age is one of my favorite series, but I can't help but feel they've been sanitizing its dark fantasy tones, first with Inquisition and now possibly with Veilguard. How do you feel about the series' tonal inconsistencies and the upcoming release?"
That is a very, very good point. Dragon Age 1 was very gothic, very dark, very dark. Dragon Age 2 was dark in its story, not in its environment, because it took place in one city and they didn't have a lot of time to really produce different assets. So the city looks kind of bright and one note. But he's absolutely right, because this one, Inquisition, isn't dark at all or grim. It's very colorful, very, very saturated. And looking at the gameplay for 4, it's the same issue. But I think they have to do that, and I think they did that on purpose, because otherwise you're attracting a smaller audience, maybe, I guess.
Sure.
So I get why they did that. And also, Veilguard has to be a sequel to Inquisition and not to Origins exactly. So they kind of have to preserve that tone. But I think from what I've read is that the story is going to be more grim and more dark. So I have faith that Veilguard will get it right in that regard. But he's right.
Yeah. I don't think like you'd always need to have the same art style, I guess, or visual tone for the game. I just think maybe the story tone you should keep similar.
Yeah.
Like I can understand them being like, oh, we want to change things up visually or whatever. You know, add some more color, I guess. I don't know. They could do that with the story, but it sounds like what people really love about it is the story mostly.
Yeah, the story, especially in Origin, it's. I know it sounds stupid, but it's really true. Origins was basically the successor to Baldur's Gate, and Origins was like BioWare's Lord of the Rings. Like it had a great epic story with like multiple great scenes and characters and story beats. And then you got done with it, but where do you how do you continue from Lord of the Rings, right? Like how do you raise the stakes from there, which is very hard to do. So Dragon Age 2 was basically a prequel, or like it took place simultaneously. So it's very hard to make a sequel. That's why I'm super interested to see what they'll do with 4 now. Especially, I wonder if they'll like put an end to it, if it has like a definite ending, or if they'll leave it open for Dragon Age 5. I guess we'll find out. But I'm very much looking forward to it. It could be really cool, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hope it's good, man. Yeah. I'm interested. I want it to be good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we shall see when it comes out. Does it have a release date? I forgot.
No, they're giving one soon, but the rumors are, first the rumor was September 30. That seems way too early now. So I think Jeff Grubb tweeted October 20 or something, or October 30, last half of October, which seems reasonable. I don't think they want to market it anymore, because you saw what happened last time.
Because they don't know how, apparently.
They don't know how. Yeah, I think it's also too late to do anything different with it now. So, if I were them, what the hell do I know? But if I were them, I wouldn't show it to anyone and just release it at some point. And if it's good, it'll work. And if it's not,
okay. All right, Ben. Sea of Thieves, you're back. New season or something that came out.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Season 12 in Sea of Thieves dropped about a week and a half ago now, probably, and it's insane. It's really insane. It's kind of changed the entire game, at least for now. And I don't mean like the base game, the people who are just questing and whatever. Your lives are probably still the same in this game. But season 12 introduces the first new world event in Sea of Thieves since 2021. About a month or two after I started playing, they introduced a new event, and that was over 3 years ago. And so this is the first new world event. Been lots of changes, but the first big thing, and it's called the Burning Blade. And Flameheart is like the big bad guy. He's kind of corny in my opinion, but whatever. That's not the point. The point of this game isn't really the story to me, but that's okay. I like the story, but it's not the point. The Burning Blade is Flameheart's ship, and it's captained by skeletons. And, in the lore, there's like these islands that hold secret rituals, and he wants all the knowledge from them. So this doesn't really make a lot of sense, but this is the way it works. You go and you sink this big Burning Blade ship. Now, let me describe the Burning Blade to you. It's a giant galleon, like the largest ship, but it's bigger than that. Huge wide deck, lots of room to run around. There's 5 or 6 cannons on each side. There's a flamethrower in the front called the Ashen Roar that you pull a lever by the wheel, and you can shoot the Ashen Roar. Anything that's in front of it lights on fire, destroys stuff. It's crazy. You've got cannons up by the person on the wheel, which is, you know, really convenient as well. The ship is manned by skeletons at first. So when this thing spawns on the server, it's manned by skeletons. You go and you sink it. It's not too unlike a regular skeleton galleon, except it's more powerful. The skeletons bilge like crazy. Once you sink it, you have the option to pledge yourself to that ship. Now, I don't know why you're sinking Flameheart's ship in order to then pledge yourself to it, but let's not get into logic. That's just the way it works. You go and you pledge yourself to the ship, and then you become the crew. Your own ship scuttles, it goes away, and these skeletons now work for you. Your goal as the Burning Blade is to go around to these islands, collect this, you know, do these puzzles, collect this knowledge, and then eventually take it and turn it back in to Flameheart for lots of gold, lots of reputation, etc. You get new cosmetics, all sorts of stuff. The crazy part is these skeletons are a new type of skeleton in the game, and they're insanely powerful. First of all, if you're in combat, they shoot cannons for you. Skeletons on these ships are pretty accurate. They also bilge for you. So they go downstairs, they repair any holes you have, and they repair them incredibly quickly. They don't bucket, but that's okay because there's not a lot of water coming in because these skeletons are patching things up like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not the crew on the Burning Blade going around and trying to do everything, you're trying to sink the Burning Blade. And when you sink the Burning Blade, that's the name of the ship again, you get any loot they have on board. That's where the big chest in the game right now is the most expensive chest is. But also when you sink it, you get a sword. And the sword has been imbued with like all this power from the rituals they've been doing. So the more rituals they've done, which you can see on the map how many they've done, the more rituals they've done, the more your stuff is worth. The sword is worth. And you want to go and turn that in. The crazy part is it is a very difficult ship to sink. You know, I typically, maybe not majority, but a lot of times we'll play solo or a duo on a sloop, the smallest ship in the game, with one friend. Even if somebody is on the Burning Blade commanding it solo, it is so incredibly difficult to sink because the skeletons are just bilging constantly. The skeletons are shooting at you constantly. Plus, you have a player on there who's also shooting. The Burning Blade is also kind of buffed a little bit because it's got the anchor on it is the size. So each ship size in the game has a different size anchor, which takes either longer or less time to raise. So the anchor is a sloop anchor, which means it's very fast to get up. The masts are reinforced, which means it takes double the amount of hits it would normally take for you to take down the mast and make it immobile. And if you try to board the thing, you've not only got the players that are controlling the ship to deal with, but also all the skeletons who immediately just run at you and attack and, you know, sword you to death or, you know, hit you with a shotgun, whatever. And if you do manage to get some good holes in the bottom of it, the skeletons repair like crazy. And it's really tough to sink. If the meta right now is, well, one, everybody is sailing on bigger boats than they normally do. There's a lot of players in this game who like to play on a sloop, a small ship, and just because they're nimble and everything, but they've only got one cannon. They've only got two people. They're very easy to just roll right over them, take them out if you don't have a skilled crew on them. So everybody's getting on bigger ships. Even really good players are getting on bigger ships right now to fight, which is cool because it's bringing more of the community together, like playing in different combinations of people that you haven't seen play before, especially, you know, in the streamer category too. Like people are doing new collaborations that you've never seen. But a very non-skilled solo player can still last for a while on the Burning Blade just because it's so powerful. The meta right now is to get onto the Burning Blade, kill as many skeletons as you can, and each skeleton has a different amount of lives. I don't even know what they are, but eventually, once you kill all the skeletons, then you can potentially sink it. Because before you do that, they're just going to repair it. You have no shot. If you just try to shoot it like a normal ship, very small chance of you actually sinking it anytime soon. And so that's really been the main attraction lately is you get these Burning Blades. You either want a PvE and you sail around and you do these rituals or little puzzles that you do and you make a lot of money, or you go and try to sink them. And either way, it's a lot of fun. Like every battle I've had has been challenging. I've sunk more in this last couple weeks than I have ever sunk before. Just because, again, like your average dad gamer who's playing a couple nights a week after work is able to be a behemoth on the server and totally wreck your day. And there were some glitches early on where people were like totally exploiting everything, and it kind of screwed up some stuff for a while. But they got it sorted, and it's all good now. But it's given a whole new life to the game, in my opinion. Now, how long that lasts, will it stick around? That's all yet to be seen, because events come and go, they lose their luster, whatever. But right now, you have incentive to go after it because it's got the most expensive, it's got the chest that everybody wants on it. If you don't care about that, you want to get, different cosmetics and different things for your progression that are on the ship, or that you get by either captaining the ship or by sinking it, and there's incentive to do either one. So if you see one on the server, you're probably going for it at this point. You're either going to go man it, or you're going to go try to sink it. So it's just created, I don't know, it's just a really cool feature. And there's nothing more satisfying than being on the thing. A ship rolls past you and you just absolutely destroy it with an immense amount of fire. Like, it's insane. You can envelop a whole galleon at once with this flamethrower that you have. So that's been keeping me pretty occupied. Been playing that a good bit. And I play Sea of Thieves. So I stream Sea of Thieves. And I stream it because I like it. I'm streaming it because I play it a lot. But also, Sea of Thieves, like, it has open mics in the game, so you can talk to their players. You're hearing what they're saying. You can be secret on their ship and like hear their plans or whatever. And it creates for like these crazy moments that it's unpredictable. Every time you play the game, it's something going to be a little bit different if you play PvP at all. And so I play it on stream for that reason too, because like, I don't have to worry about doing the same thing over and over. It's always going to be something new, so a different experience. But with this, it's totally shaking it up. Of course, like I mentioned before, you're getting a lot more people playing together that didn't normally play with other people before. And it's just created a really cool dynamic and brought a lot of energy into the game. I haven't looked at player numbers or anything lately, but I would imagine they're up because a lot of people are doing it. Now, some people don't care about it at all. They're avoiding it. They're off doing their own thing. That's fine, whatever. You don't have to worry about them. But the coolest part is like when you're going to try to sink this thing, both when it's captained by only skeletons and when it's captained by other players, you're getting into these big multi-ship battles because everybody wants to get there first. They want to either get the really high-value sword, or they want to claim the Burning Blade for themselves so they can be the best ship on the seas or whatever. And so a lot of times you're not only fighting the Burning Blade, but you're also fighting other players at the same time. And I've gotten into so many, there's only a maximum of 6 boats on the server. I've gotten into so many fights where there's 5 ships fighting for this thing. And it's just great. It's just mayhem. It's excellent. But that's been my last 10 days or so, is just playing a lot of that, pairing up with some buddies I haven't talked to in a little while, and taking down the ship. And it's brought a new sense of life into the game for this season, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
It has 15,000 players on Steam right now, or in the last 34 minutes. So that's pretty good, man. Yeah, because I'm sure there's a huge base on consoles too. I'm sure.
They told numbers one time, like for every one Steam player, there's X amount of console players. I don't remember what that was. And of course, ever since they released it on PS5, that number, it's grown, obviously. Yep. And there's so many, like there's certain cosmetics that only PS5 players have, and also certain cosmetics that only Xbox players have. And I don't think there's anything exclusive for Steam. I think you can use both. But anyway, you see so many people out there right now with PlayStation cosmetics. It did really well on PlayStation, and it continues to do well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does.
So it's got a strong, I'd say, I think the usual concurrent is about 60,000.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Across all systems.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For a 6.5-year-old game that struggled really hard at launch.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how long do you think they're going to support this game? Do you think they have 2 coming up, do you think, or are they just going to keep supporting this one?
I don't think they'll do a 2, personally. I had really hoped about a year ago before they announced they were coming to PS5, and before anybody really was speculating that things would come to PS5, I was hoping they'd upgrade the engine, go to Unreal 5. But there's so much custom code in that game, I'm sure it would be a nightmare, and maybe they even looked at it, I don't know. But a long time ago, they said that they had a 10-year plan for the game.
Okay.
And, we're almost at 7 years at this point. Getting pretty dang close to 7 years. And they're still putting out new content. Now, I think they've said they're done, for the most part, with, like, new like structure for the game, and it's more based on sandbox stuff. So like next season they're coming out with a new gun that helps you board ships differently. It's like a harpoon gun. They're coming out with a dart gun that has different types of darts in it that allow you to like shoot them at other players or other ships and make like a weird sound effect on their ship that distracts them or whatever. Last season they put in these bombs that you can throw at other boats or other players and spawn skeletons on them and stuff like that. So like they're constantly adding. If they make it to the 10 years, which is what they've said a couple different times, I think that's 10 years of development. I wouldn't be surprised if they leave the servers up for a little while after that and maybe continue to restock like the in-game store or whatever. But this game, like I said, 6.5 years old. It's a paid game, if you're playing on Game Pass, you're still paying them, whatever. And then it feels like almost every other pirate I run into is rocking a paid cosmetic as well. So this game, I think, is making them a substantial amount of money still this long into it. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime. Now, there's plenty of people who are just like, I'm tired of this game. I'm like, yeah, you put 15,000 hours into it. What maybe there's just nothing left for you. Okay, that's fine. But it's thriving right now, and there's a lot of excitement in the game, and it's cool to see for sure.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Glad to hear you're still enjoying it, man, after all these years. It's good shit. Great game. Yeah. Love to see it. All right. Lockmort, Warhammer, Space Marine. This game has been on my backlog for years. 2's coming out. Looking nice. You've been playing the anniversary edition of this game.
Yes.
Talk to us.
I was in the same position you were. This has been in my backlog for years, over a decade even, I think. And I saw that 2 was coming out, so I figured, well, this is the perfect time to play it. I was completely wrong about this game because I always thought this was like a Diablo top-down perspective game.
No.
But that's the other one. Like you have like another one. I think it's called Martyr or something. Or
there's a million Warhammer games. But yes,
of course, yeah. But no, this is a third-person action shooter, which is really cool. I like I said, I wasn't expecting it, so made it extra cool to me. And you play as Captain Titus, who's like a leader of the Ultramarines. The story, I won't go into details because there's a lot of things to spoil, but you basically get sent to a planet to kill orcs. There's much more to it. There's like betrayal and other cool stuff, but that's basically what it is. Have you guys ever played any, or do you know anything about Warhammer 40K? Or okay, cool,
a little bit, yeah.
Awesome. I love that universe. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Very bleak. The game. Yeah, very bleak. Yeah, everyone everything sucks. And everyone hates everyone. That's basically the premise. But yeah, it's a third-person shooter hack and slash game, which is really cool. It's all combat. There's no cover. There's no puzzles. It's very simple, but it's very fun. You basically have 5 weapons, a pistol, a bolter, a melee weapon, and 2 extra weapons that you can pick up or find along the way. You can upgrade your weapons. That's basically the entire premise of the game. Go ahead, go kill as many orcs as you can. It's simple, but it's so much fun. It's so cool. It's basically like a very easy version of Gears of War without any cover. That's basically it. To get health, there's no health packs anywhere, but you do the same thing you do in Doom, right? Like you stun an enemy, you execute him, that gives you health. Or like in our game of the year, Suicide Squad, which also has that mechanic, right? There's also the Fury meter you can use, so that basically makes the game go in slow motion, which is really cool, especially for the time that when this came out. And when your Fury meter is full, you do more damage and you also get health back, right? The enemies you fight, at least in the first half of the game, are only orcs. So you just get hordes and hordes and hordes, turrets and orcs. That's basically it. There's arenas that are connected by hallways where the cutscenes play through. So you could kind of say this is an arena horde mode shooter as well, but maybe that simplifies it a bit too much. But when you get to the halfway point of the game, or a little bit earlier, there's also the Chaos Army that gets involved. And that basically turns the game into a 3-way war which made it very fun to me because I had no idea that was going to happen. So the orcs also get attacked by the Chaos Army, which makes it really fun. So you can like trap them somewhere and make sure the other enemies go to them. It's really made the combat more tactical and more fun than it was before. The exposition in the game or the lore in the game is all explained through journals you find along the way, but they do the annoying thing that you can't listen to the journals while you're playing.
Yeah,
which is very sad. So you have to go into the option menu to listen to them, but that's okay. They're so short. The whole game is short, by the way. I finished it in 7 hours, 7.5 hours.
Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah,
which is really short. Perfect for me because I played this just as I finished Dragon Age 2 and I was jumping into Inquisition. So I figured I want something easy. I want something fast because I'm also playing Fallout London. So I said, well, I'm just going to play a couple of hours of this. And then I finished it in 2 sessions because I thought it was way longer, which was perfect to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's also multiplayer, which I haven't touched. I don't think the campaign has co-op, but I know the second game is going to have co-op campaign, which is really cool.
3 players, I think.
Yeah, which is awesome, which we should do. That's going to be fun. Hell yeah. And I think the multiplayer, but again, I haven't touched it, is like Horde mode and PvP, but I don't really know how that works. There's also going to be a TV show with Henry Cavill set in the Warhammer 40K universe,
right.
But I don't think they're going to get their inspiration from this game. But it's really funny to me that they're making a sequel to it because it's not a game that warrants it, really, or not a game that asks for it. But it's really cool that they're doing it. So at first I wasn't really interested in the sequel, but now I am. I'm really, really excited for it, actually. So I can't wait. I think it's coming in September? October?
It's soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's soon.
Yeah. So really excited for it. Yeah. Go ahead.
I remember playing this, I don't know, was it 2011, 2012?
Yeah, that's when it came out.
It was right before I got married.
That's when it came out.
2011. Okay. I remember playing this and enjoying it. And I think I played one of the DLCs, something about Total Chaos or something like that. I don't remember. It's probably included in the anniversary edition.
It is, yeah. Everything is included in there. Yeah. And
I remember liking it, and it was on the 360, I want to say. I liked it, but like immediately after I played it, I feel like I totally forgot that it existed. It just it wasn't a very memorable game to me. And maybe, again, that was just the place I was at in my life. But I remember enjoying it a lot. And like you said, it's such a short game that you play it and you're done. And it was a great experience. And then whatever. But that is the one downfall of it, in my opinion, is that it's an obvious IP grab.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just went for the Warhammer IP, which the reason I played it at the time was because I was like very lightly into actually building minis for the Warhammer game. And then I realized how time consuming and expensive it was going to be and got out of that. So
yeah, it's an expensive ass hobby.
My roommate was into it. So I was like, I want to do that too. And I was like, oh, this is like each figure that I still have to paint and craft myself is like $20. I mean, maybe that was just the store I was shopping at, but yeah, it was expensive.
Quick PSA, it's on sale on Steam for $18 right now.
Oh,
and it's still a full price game usually. So I remember hearing about this game like years ago and I was going to buy it and I saw it was like $60 still. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me? I eventually got it on sale, so I'm set there. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. I looked on Amazon to see how much it was for PS3 and like Xbox, and it's very expensive. So PC is the way to go, I guess. Because well, I mean, the Xbox 360 store is dead, so you can't buy it on there. PS3 store, you could maybe still find it on there. I'm not sure, but yeah, if you want to get caught up for 2, PC is probably the cheapest place to do it if you have access to it. But yeah, I really want to play this game. You saying it's 7 hours is like music to my ears.
Oh yeah.
This is like back in the day, this would have been the best rental ever.
Yep.
The best like GameFly game ever. Sweet shooter game that's like 7 hours, man. Awesome. Fun weekend.
Perfect.
It looks great. I like Warhammer a lot. I think it's cool. The lore is insane, which is cool if there's so much there for you. And I think what's there, I think is really cool, but it's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
All right. We got some questions about it. This is from Caesar. Good day, Summoners. Question regarding 40K. Warhammer 40K. As someone with a passive interest in the franchise, how good do we think Space Marine is at getting people interested? I am only into Warhammer 40K through the video games and have played SM2 myself. Wait, and I have played Space Marine 2 myself? Do you mean Space Marine 1? Whatever. Love it, and I'm super excited for the sequel. Cheers from Australia. Well, maybe he time traveled, I don't know. But how do you think the game's good at getting people in the universe, Locke?
It actually is, yeah. Because I don't know all that, or I didn't know all that much about Warhammer 40K, except the game that I've been aching to play for over a year now, Rogue Trader from Owlcat. It also takes place,
right?
Yeah, the CRPG, which also takes place in the Warhammer 40K universe, and I just can't find the time to get to it. And yeah, I'm probably not going to get to it for the rest of the year, but that's one that also takes place in this. And when I read the synopsis for that game, I was like, this is incredible. This is one of the best things ever. So then when I played Space Marine here, and it also, well, I really don't want to spoil it because it's such a short story. But then when it also deals with those elements and with the lore, the background lore of that, I was like, this is so cool. So I think this game is probably best if you don't know anything about the lore, because it doesn't delve too deep into it. It just gives you the basics, but it makes the basics look or sound so cool, at least it did to me, that I want to know more. That's why I'm so interested in Space Marine 2 now, because I want to know how they expand. I want to know more about this lore. I really want to play Rogue Trader now, or even Darktide, which is so cool.
Oh, yeah. I have Darktide. We can play that.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I played it when it first came out. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was as good as Vermintide at the time, but they've updated the game a lot since I've played it. So
cool.
I would replay a lot of it. I thought it was fun, though.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I'll play that. The only connection I have with 40K is Dawn of War 1 and 2, which were awesome back then. But I think that those are the only games I've ever played in the Warhammer 40K universe. Played normal Warhammer or fantasy Warhammer.
Yeah.
And then there's also that Inquisitor Martyr game, which I talked about, which I thought this one was. That's like the Diablo with guns one.
Yeah.
I saw that on the PlayStation Store a while back, and I figured, wow, this looks cool. But then I looked at the reviews, and the reviews, they got like 6s everywhere.
So I was just like, decent.
Maybe it's not that great. But yeah, this universe is great, dude. I can't wait to finally play Rogue Trader, or have time to play Rogue Trader and find out more about this universe. Yeah. Or Space Marine 2.
Yeah. All right. This is from Ding Dong. Great name. Hello, guys. I see Locke is playing Warhammer Space Marine. I was so excited to hear about the sequel. I was introduced to the franchise when I played the original on PS3 and found the universe interesting and have listened to hours of Warhammer lore on YouTube. I was also lucky enough to stumble into a comic/anime store in Florida when a tabletop game was being played. I'm hoping this game becomes huge. The 3-player co-op is going to be fun. Yeah, man. Sounds like this was a game that got some people into the universe, so it's great. And if you are curious, yes, there are hundreds of hours of lore on YouTube if you want to know about Warhammer, dude. It's an endless rabbit hole. If you're looking for something to get lost in, there you go. Warhammer 40K. It's crazy shit.
Do you think it's going to do well? Because it's releasing in like such a crowded space.
I don't know, Locke. It's hard to say. Warhammer games I think persist always for somehow. They just always keep going no matter what.
They have a dedicated, guaranteed
fan base
audience.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. You may not hear about the game that much, but it probably does fine. I guess if they're making a sequel after 13 years or something, must be some demand for it. And it looks the sequel looks fucking awesome. Well.
Yeah.
Oh, Boltgun. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, obviously a totally different type of game, but that alone may have gotten more people interested in the future. So, but they did well.
Yeah, I'm sure they do well as long as they have their sales expectations and pricing in check. I guess it could be fine.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, boys, let's end the show. Just a couple questions from the audience. If you want to send a question to this show or any other shows, head on over to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Join us over there. All right, this is from Javen Mather. I'm pretty sure that's how you say your name. I butchered his name a couple times before, and they've gotten upset, but hopefully that's it, because I ain't fixing it after this. Hey there, friends. Back when the OG Paper Mario was released on the N64, it was somewhat hailed as a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG from the SNES. That never sat right with me in light of how Mario RPG also felt very much like a Square, at the time, Squaresoft game, whereas Paper Mario games, great in their own right, feel more directly like Nintendo games. If we receive something that was a truer sequel to Super Mario RPG, say even from Square again, what do you suppose it'd be like? What would you want to see in it? Thanks for all you do. It's also been a real treat having various questions read on the show of late. Smile emoji.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. What would we like from a new Super Mario RPG? I would want Square to be involved, I guess, if they're doing it again, because I do agree that what helps make that game feel more unique is Square's involvement with it. Ideally, some of the old people that worked on it would be great, because a lot of those old heads are still at Square Enix. I mean, you're seeing that with Final Fantasy 7 going on and everything, so I would love that. But I don't know, man. Like, Ben, what do you think about just like a new game looking like the remake that was on Switch, just with some new bells and whistles?
I'm gonna say something that might be controversial. I don't ever want a sequel to Super Mario RPG.
Sure.
It is pure, both in my memory and has been championed throughout the years as one of the greatest, early RPGs that we have. Especially getting a Mario RPG that was just insane at the time. The fact Square worked on it was just insane. So I'm sure if they came out with one, I would play it. And yeah, I would want it to look similar to the original. I'd want it to play similar to the original. They did a lot of improvements to the remake that I did think enhanced it, especially in the graphics area and everything. But I just I don't yearn for this. Is a perfect moment in time to me. Like Super Mario RPG is instilled in my consciousness as it doesn't ever need a sequel. We waited so long to even be able to play it on anything somewhat modern that I'm just okay with it staying there. Just leave the game as it stands. That's fine with me.
How would you feel about if there's a sequel, Ben, but it didn't involve like the 7 Stars or Smithy or Gino or Mallow or anyone like that? Just Mario, maybe Peach, Bowser returning. Maybe add Yoshi. You could have Boshi, I guess. Maybe not as a party member.
Right, yeah.
But maybe you could add Luigi or something like that. How would you feel about that if it's just like a completely standalone story?
I mean, I don't know that it's a story to me that makes me not want a sequel. Again, I would play it because I'm sure it would be great. It's not necessarily the story and everything. It's more I don't want a Super Mario RPG 2 30 years after the fact, because just make a new Super Mario RPG game that's not a sequel or whatever.
They've
just
been
make
doing
another. That. I know they have. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only reason to make Super Mario RPG 2 is money. And I get it. That's how companies operate. That's why they operate. But like, I don't know. I think it's perfect. I think it should be left.
Just left alone.
Yeah.
I think it should be left alone unless you have Square involved.
Sure.
If Square is involved, then to me it becomes Super Mario RPG. Like, then you can make it a sequel. But I mean, I totally get it. Yeah, it's a fucking awesome game, and I love that game. It's great. So, I mean, if we don't get another one, whatever, it's fine. But if we got another one, I'd be like, okay, I'm in.
I'm saying right now I don't want it. If they come out at the next Nintendo Direct and announce it, I'm pre-ordering it. Like,
you're gonna shit your pants.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, but I don't want it. You know?
Yeah. Locke, what is it going to take for you to play a Super Mario RPG?
Not much. I'll play it. I just don't have it.
All right, pretty easy.
It sounds cool. I like Mario. It's just that I don't like the Switch. Well,
that's fine.
I think it's just I need something.
Switch.
Yeah, like just give me like an actual console or something that I can turn on and have like have like an actual console. Maybe the Switch 2 or whenever that comes out, and
it'll be just like the Switch, I'm sure.
Well, if it plays games in 60 FPS, I'm already happy. That'll make
it could, yeah. Super RPG,
cool.
Is that in 60 frames, Ben? The remake?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I honestly, when it comes to Nintendo games, if it's a Nintendo first party, I'm just like, I'm going to play it, and I don't even.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. it's a bonus if it is.
It was turn-based. It didn't really matter if it was 60 FPS, honestly.
Sure.
But I don't think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 60 FPS is more a reality on the next handheld lock.
Yeah.
I mean, or the next Switch. I mean, we're probably going to get it next year, so.
Yeah, cool.
This says... Wait. Any way to get a stable 60 FPS with Super Mario RPG on the Steam Deck? Okay, that's about piracy. I'm not going to talk about that.
Oh, I was just going to ask Steam Deck. I have a Steam Deck.
Wink, wink, lock. I can't find a definitive answer here. Oh, so it looks like the cutscenes are 60 FPS, but maybe the gameplay is under that.
Got it.
But,
yeah. I have the game, the remake. I just haven't played it yet, but I just bought it because I was like, I need to own this.
I thought you had played it. Oh man,
I've played the original, not the remake.
What is it, like an actual RPG with like a story, or is it it for kids or
no? It's a story. RPG. I mean, it's for kids too, but like there's a story and everything like that. Plots,
but like a good for adults.
It's cool.
Or
I mean, no, it's a Mario game. It's not like
of course.
People
Mario get
shot with yeah.
And I'm not going to play it.
No. You can't like romance a bear or something like that, like Baldur's Gate 3. But
I was being nice to you.
It's a cool game. It's a cool game.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lighthearted like journey, but it's cool.
I just played the remake. When did it come out? End of last year? Was that end
something
like
that? Yeah, I think so.
And I mean, maybe part of it's nostalgia, but I was like, oh, this is actually still a good story.
How long is it? Is it long?
It's a shorter RPG. It's a shorter one. I'll just look it up.
Or between 20 and 30, I want to say.
Okay. And it's like not a difficult one, Lock. It's pretty easy to get through too. Not that you would have problems. Oh, dude. According to IGN, main plus sides is 14 hours.
What? That's
main story is 12 hours.
I'm very bad at it, apparently.
Completion is 20.
How much is it, like full price, I guess?
Oh, I mean, it's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, let me see. It probably is. Let's see. On Amazon, please load. It's like various different all buying options. Bullshit.
It was 60 at retail at release.
At release, it was 60.
I'll take a look, because last time, Brett, you recommended Luigi's Mansion 3, or maybe that was on Constellation. I don't remember. Somewhere you recommended
it's a cool game, but maybe wait for a sale. If you can get it for like 40, I'd feel really good about that. Except unless you want a spooky game for Halloween, a fun spooky game.
No, well, I was going to say I already bought Luigi's Mansion. I was gonna forget it otherwise, but maybe that will give me a reason to turn my Switch on. If I have like 2 games on there where I can switch between when I'm playing in bed or something, I'll take a look. It sounds you guys make it sound cool, so
it's very jolly. Yeah, it's just a good time, Lock. It's lighthearted. You'll have fun. Amazing music, by the way, too. Really? Yoko Shimomura, famous. Lock
you lost
4.
me at the name. Never mind. Never played
Kingdom Hearts. Hey, she did Street Fighter 2 also.
Oh,
so she's a legend. Guile's theme, come on, all day.
She?
Yeah,
I'm definitely not playing it.
All right, this last question is from Necrom Oddboy. Bradimal, Bobbery, and Gooning Goombas. I was just wondering if any of you have ever played Bug Fables, the Everlasting Sapling. As a fan of Paper Mario, I feel the series peaked with the 1,000-Year Door. And this multi-platform love letter is truly one of the best non-Paper Mario games I've ever played. Also curious if there are other RPGs that have taken up Paper Mario's formula. Thanks, and remember if your princess is always in another castle, she's from the streets. Damn. Bug Fables I've definitely heard about, but I was like, I'm not going to play that until I play Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. So I have never played it, but if I'm ever in the mood for a Paper Mario-esque game, then I probably will check it out. But yes, I have heard good things about it. Ben, what about you? I know you like Mario RPG games. Any interest?
No. Sorry. I answered a question you didn't ask. I've never played it. I might have a little bit of interest. I've seen... This has actually been recommended to me more than once. I think Sean Mason might have recommended it to me.
Dude, Sean loves 1,000-Year Door, so I could definitely see it.
Yeah. But no, I've not played it. It's only $20 on Steam. I'm sure it's
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a look. I think honestly, like the fact that it's this art style with anything that's not a known IP to me just turns me off. But that's because of my own hangups, not because it's bad. It's good, but it's just usually not my thing. So,
Sure.
But yeah, I'd be willing to check it out. Not something I've ever seriously considered before, though.
Yeah. I'm looking at footage of it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
A weird little game where you're bugs and RPG. That's a cool idea. Sure.
Yep.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, boys. That's it. We're done with this episode. A nice, breezy episode. Feels good, man. I love it. If we can hit like around the 3-hour mark, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't mind if we go longer than that. It's just the way it is, and I'm totally cool with it. But 3 hours feels good.
Yeah.
And I know our audience is used to long ass shit already, so that's totally fine. We have a lot of all of our podcasts are long. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But before we go, any final thoughts from you guys? Anything you want to say before we head out? Or should we just get the fuck out of here?
I am hungry.
Me too.
I did not eat lunch before the show, and now I'm regretting it.
I got a salad waiting for me.
Nice.
Starving.
That's all I got to say, though.
Lockmore, anything from you?
No, yeah, you're gonna make me buy a couple of new games, which sounds like no, that sounds like a bad thing, but it's a good thing. I always appreciate like learning about new games, so that's really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Lockmore,
yes.
If you don't like Super Mario RPG, I'm not asking you to pretend like you like it. I'm not asking you to lie to me, whatever. Just never mention it to me. Just like never tell me you hate it.
You can mention it to me. It's all right.
That's fine. Don't ever mention it to me.
If you can vent, if you need a vent, you can vent to me.
I'll tweet about it and put spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine in it and tag you.
Spoilers?
I will be guaranteed to see it then if there's spoilers for Deadpool. Guaranteed.
Cool, man. All right, guys, we're out of here. Everyone, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us, or sitting through our ramblings and all that good shit. We appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We hope you all have a good one. We'll see you next episode. Take care, everyone. Goodbye. Summon Sign is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Brad Ellis. The show is produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Summon Sign, along with the rest of Last Stand's media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we are grateful for your kind contribution and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.